fans of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the SWH podcast, episode 1. Today is April 7th, I believe. Real excited here. Thank you, PJ Cabaya, all the way from France, doing our intro there. What's going on, GT?
Tim, what's up, buddy? Looking forward to our first podcast. I know we've been talking about this for a long time and excited to get going.
Yeah, real excited. Never realized how we could do this. We've been talking about it for about 2 years now, but with this whole quarantine and stuff and the Zoom chats going on with everyone, we've done a couple of Zoom chats with our teams. I know my wife does with her school a lot. Kids are doing it.
Yeah.
The perfect way to reach out to our customers, our fans, our friends. Real excited, SWH podcast. We start our own production group, Glass Half Full Productions. With all the stuff going on in the world right now, we just want to keep everything positive here. We don't want to talk about the negative. You can look at a glass, half empty, glass full, right, GT? We're looking at it glass full. Life throws you some lemons. What do you make?
Lemonade, Tim.
Lemonade, and that's what we're going to do here. We're going to make a lot of lemonade on this podcast, guys. We're going to have some fun. We've made a lot of changes. I know we were on Roll of Dad News the other day. For those that saw, we've made some changes at State Wars here because of all going on. Unfortunately, we have to make some alterations to how we normally do things. So we announced that we're not going to be holding tryouts this year for the kids. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time to do all that. And so we're going to let coaches or managers enter their own youth teams into the tournament directly. Everyone still has to live in the same state or province, just like they would before. But now they're putting their own teams in to wear their own uniforms because, unfortunately, we just won't be able to get uniforms made this quickly, Greg, as you know. The normal process, for those who don't know, is we start tryouts end of February, early March, and every week we have a tryout, and we're ordering uniforms, custom ones, throughout that time period up until June. And then ProJoy, who's amazing at doing our uniforms, they just can't get it done in a month. So when things get better here, hopefully end of May, early June, there's not going to be a lot of time to get uniforms ordered. So teams will enter their own team in this year to play. We've made the block dates 3-day blocks instead of 4 to give families less time away. I know, the economy's hitting a lot of people tough right now. So that'll help a little bit, one less day away. And, other than that, it's going to be status quo at State Wars. It's going to be the best tournament of the summer as always. What are you thinking, GT?
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. It's a little different without the jerseys, and I know people are disappointed with it, but you know what? We got to make do. Like you said, ProJoy is normally, by now they would have had a lot of states done by now. A lot of their jerseys are already made, but at the end, this is what's best for everyone. I think the parents will really appreciate the cost going down. The block schedule is obviously 3 days instead of 4. Less time in hotels, less time in restaurants, spending money. So, overall, I think it's going to really help our customers, and definitely going to be a different feel this summer, but it's, it's still going to be State Wars. So it is what it is. We'll make do.
Yeah, it's funny, as we always get a coach or a mom or a dad or someone that wants to put their own team in every year. And we just don't do that. That's what the other tournaments are for. State Wars is tryouts, and we go through the process, and 99.9% of the customers love it for that reason. And that's why, I believe our event continues to grow every year. And, but now they have a chance to do that. So we'll get to see the other side of it a little bit. I won't say I'm excited to see that other side, but it'll be interesting, just to be able to see it both ways. But 2021, we're right back at it. All the uniform designs that we did this year, Stephen Campbell did an amazing job setting up our jerseys this year. Again, the design, and we're going to use that next year for 2021. I know a lot of the Southern California people, especially after Kobe Bryant passed away, we went with the Lakers colors, and a lot of people are excited about that. So we'll get back to that for 2021. And we apologize, obviously, we just can't get the jerseys made in time, and we do want to get the cost down for everyone. Now it's just going to be a straight entry fee, like you said, and it'll be a lot cheaper because, this economy is taking a hit right now, unfortunately. So we want to do our best to make it easier for families to be able to come enjoy State Wars, right?
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of people that have asked me, "Oh, can we still use the jerseys?" And even though all the other states and provinces aren't using them, I'm like, you know what, guys, we have to wait till next year. I know a lot of people are disappointed about that, but you know what, it is what it is.
Yeah, we have to do what we have to do.
Yep.
Like you said, making lemonade out of lemons here, right? So
Exactly.
it's still going to be state wars. It's everything else will be the same.
Yep.
Just the
I
uniforms
mean,
will be different.
we get a feel at Winter Wars, when teams enter. So I mean, Midwest Wars. So obviously, we deal with a lot of the teams in the first place. A lot of them like our events, and summer's going to be no different. It's going to be the greatest tournament of the summer.
Yeah, 100%. And let's get right into it. Part of this podcast, one of the great things is we get to interview different people in the sport. This first guy I'm going to bring on here, and I'll wait till he gets on before I introduce him, embarrass him a little bit. But we're going to bring on no other than Jason Muro from Mission Black Ice. So let's bring Jason on here. I think we got him here. I think Jason, you're a little sideways there. So there you go. How you doing, Jay?
He's connecting.
I think his audio is still connecting here.
There we go.
Can you hear us, Jay?
I can hear you.
What's up, Jay?
Before we get right at it, Jay, I want to introduce you while you're on here with us. So for those that don't know Jason, Jason's from, Long Island, New York, just as Greg and I are. He runs the Mission Black Ice team and organization. He has for a long, long time. He's been, not only is he a great friend of mine, but he's been a great ambassador for the sport of roller hockey for a long, long time. I think him and I both had a lot more hair back in the day when we started.
I know I did.
And I was thinking the other day, when we started State Wars in 2005, we had a state director in almost every state. And Jason's one of the few left that was with us the first year in 2005 and is still a state director in 2020. The only other ones I could think of were Peter Dale in Wisconsin, Rob Ferrara in Missouri, and I guess technically Dan Maxwell. He was in Arizona, now he's in California. He wasn't a state director every year through in between, but we'll throw him in that list because he's been with us forever. But that's an exclusive group and a good group of guys there. So, first off, Jason, thanks for being a part of this from the beginning and still being with us after all those years. You haven't gotten sick of us yet, I guess.
No, I haven't smartened up at all, to be honest with you. But no, it's been a good run, and hopefully with everything going on in the world that things get better and we can have another one this summer.
Yeah, Jay, before you came on, and you'll probably see this when you rewatch this on the live stream, we talked about, our podcast and, glass half full productions, we're calling it, because we want to look at everything in the positive light with everything going on in the world. And, we said, life throws you lemons, you make lemonade. So we're drinking a lot of lemonade here at State Wars today, and we're going to try to keep things all about the positive. Looking forward to the summer.
I've been making lemonade for a while now.
So this first picture up here, Jay, this brings you way back. I think Johnny Moe was coaching with you. Looks about 8 years old in that picture. But this is from State Wars 2006. So our second year of State Wars.
Are those the 94s?
That's 94s. The 94 team. Yep. You can see Shabo below Vio there with his eyes closed. So this team,
holy, and that's Kaz next to me. Oh my God.
Yep, Anthony Kaz. That's Nicole Giannino next to him.
Okay. Oh my God, Stephen Pooh. I don't know. I'm trying to. Is Shul one of those kids? I know Dodge is on the bottom.
Yeah, O'Leary is the goalie. Shul. Patrick Shul.
The goalie, Connor O'Leary?
Yep.
Calabat.
See, Calabat, I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah, so.
Wow.
The great part of this podcast, be able to look back on things. So I look back. So that year in 2006, you guys went 3-1 in the round robin. And listen to the scores of these games. It shows you how amazing this event was right off the get-go. You defeated Illinois 5-3. You defeated California 3-2. You lost to North Carolina 4-3, and you defeated Texas 3-2. So every game was a 1-goal or a 2-goal game. And no shocker, John Shabo led the team in points with 8 points, 4 goals, 4 assists in the round robin. So not
Oh, he
much
was sleeping
there. What's that?
You know what? I think we we might have played him on defense back then.
Chavo?
To be honest with you, yeah, I think he might have played D back then. To be honest with you, because when I first started coaching him, I never knew why they used him as a defenseman because he was such a good goal scorer. But yeah, I think he played D back then.
Well, what's funny is, when we hold the tryouts, no one ever wants to play defense, right? So we're trying to get guys on a team that plays some D. And once in a while, we'll cut a really good forward to get a D on there. And parents don't understand how their kid didn't make it. Maybe he's the 5th best forward there. But we got to try to find some D on a team, too, so you can win a game. So that in that case, Chavo might have been, just a guy you had to throw back there because you could do it all.
Yeah, I actually just think he used to, like, when I first started coaching him or even, like, seeing him, he played D most of the time.
Okay.
I think he
started as a goalie, right? So
was a defenseman back then.
So after the round robin, you guys went to the playoffs, and you defeated Texas 4-1 in the first round. Then you lost 4-2 to Missouri, and then you won the bronze medal game over New Jersey 4-2.
Wow.
And looking at some names here, so Shane Fox was on New Jersey's 94 that year when you played them, and Brandon Hawkins was on the Michigan team there that year. So Fox, Chavo, and Hawkins, today 3 arguably the best players in the entire pro division, were playing in the 94 division that year at State Wars.
Wow, that's crazy. I don't remember Mo coaching with us. Like, I remember him coaching, but I thought that was the team that Jenna was on back in the day. I don't know. Wow, that's crazy.
Maybe he just jumped in for a medal photo. I don't know, but he
could have.
I do remember him coaching with you guys.
It is Mo.
And Alex Dodge was the leader with 8 points in the playoffs for you guys there. I remember I coached him as well back in the day. Good family, good player
Alex
too.
Alex was a good player. He was. It was a shame he stopped playing.
fast.
All right, so that's our first picture there for you, Jay. We're trying to get reactions from you here. So the next one, we'll skip forward 10 years, and not much has changed for you and Chavo, it seems like. This was 2016, Fort Wayne. First time playing in the Palmer Pro. You guys, for some reason, missed it the first year. I remember you guys couldn't come, but then half your team played on different teams there anyway, so it never made sense to me. But you guys didn't play the first year, luckily for some of us. And then the second year you came, and no shock, you guys won it right away. So just want to remember that day. Obviously, it was a new division for you guys. It was already getting touted as the top in the world. I mean, what did it feel playing that division and winning it for the first time playing in it?
Wow. It was crazy. It just remember, like, when the round robin came out, like, every game you had was against somebody good. Like, there was no soft teams or like second tier teams you play, guys just putting something together. Like, everybody was really good. I like to say we lost the game in the round robin that year. I could be mistaken. I remember one year we lost to the Border Cats in the round robin, and maybe we lost to Palmer one year in the round robin. I'm trying to remember. We definitely, I think we lost to somebody. I'd have to double check that. But I remember.
I actually got your scores here too. So you went 3-1 in the round robin that year. You beat the Ribeiro Cypress 9-3.
I think we beat the Roadrunners in a shootout.
3-2.
Yep. Okay.
Good memory there. Then you lost the division. You lost to Palmer 5-4.
That's the game we lost to Palmer 5-4.
They were beating us 5-3.
Yeah, Palmer was beating us like 5-1, and we scored a bunch of goals late there. But I remember they definitely outplayed us in that game.
Then the playoffs came, and you had that crazy first round game with Alkali. You won 6-5 to come back.
That game was nuts, just because they came out. I think we scored the first goal on the power play, and then they came out and they scored like a bunch of goals. And then every time we scored to get it within 2, they scored again. And we went on a crazy run. Like, Kraft went nuts that game. Him and Chavo scored a bunch of goals and points at the end of the game to get us to overtime. And I always remember overtime. Joel Eisenhower actually played that game over Chinny. He played. We gave him the game against RPD, and he actually played pretty well. Most of the goals he gave up were 2-on-1s. But I remember in overtime, they came down on a 2-on-1, and Pat Lee had an empty net, and he missed the empty net. He shanked the one-timer. And then, like, I think 2 minutes later, we won the game. I remember Chavo spinned around the corner, and for whatever reason, they let him go. And he, like, curled right in front of the goalie, and he barred it, and we won. And then trying to think, I think we played the Mudcats in the semis. For some reason, we play the Mudcats in a million semifinals over the last 5 or 6 years. I think we played the Mudcats in the semis, and then we wound up having to play you guys in the finals. And that was, yeah, it was crazy. I just remember it being like the games were so long and you're using more of your guys more. Like I remember Jeff Abrams scored our first goal in the finals. And I think Sammy Eisenhower, he was really young back then. He scored our second goal, and those are, and they were playing on the kind of like the third line. Like we had 7 forwards that year. We had a shit ton of guys. So it was different. It was just crazy, and and winning was awesome. And I like to remember that feeling again, because the next 3 years, I'm sure the second place pictures aren't as festive as this one.
Yeah, I know, because we've been watching a lot of these pro games now that we're doing our Palma Pro Top 20 countdown, and that championship game when you guys beat our butts pretty good. Was one of them. So I watched the game the other day. Unfortunately, I had to be reminded of how bad that game was for us and how great you guys played. But yeah, you're right. Those young guys scored those first couple goals, in the game. But that Alkali game, I still remember, because it was at Fort Wayne, and Fort Wayne's just an awesome place to watch the games. So I was upstairs in that hallway watching from above, and Mr. Chavo, John's dad, was sitting right next to me where I was standing. And when John scored that winning goal, I never seen Mike jump so high. He jumped out of that seat. He's a big guy. He jumped right out of that seat with a fist pump, and it was great to see, because I know the family for so long, and that was such a great comeback. I mean, Alkali is such a good team, and it was a crazy year because you guys had that amazing game. We had the wild one with Palma that year in the semis, and then they got to the finals, and like you said,
you guys won that. You guys won that game late, right? Like they started, like, I remember watching that game, and they were up, and they kept running up and down the rink with you guys and turning the puck over, and then you guys just started hitting shots. And next thing you know, it was over and you won it. I remember that game being crazy too.
Yeah, that and the Alkali one for you guys, that'll be, I'm sure, on the countdown later on, much higher. But yeah, we had a wild one, and I remember that year. It's funny, I preached to everyone with the Palma Pro that you need at least 12 skaters to compete in that division. And anyone that doesn't agree with that is crazy, and people see it now. But that was a year where, for us, we had a couple injuries and a couple guys couldn't come, and we wound up playing with 9 skaters. And I was surprised we even got that far, because we were not playing that great. And then you guys came in and just kicked our asses pretty good in that championship game.
Yeah, it was one of the tournaments that was very good for us, where we actually played very well at the end of the tournament, which is something up to that point that we've always done. I've had a lot of these guys, since 10 and 12 and under, some of these guys. So it's funny, like you said, like Kaz and Chavo are in that picture in 2006, and all those years later, they're in the picture 10 years later and winning something like this. It's not, one thing I've learned, especially over the last couple of years doing this, that, you can go on a run for years and years, but it's hard to win. It's hard to navigate through everything that's put in front of you in games and stuff like that. And as well as I do, if you really think of all the things that you've accomplished or all the big wins you've had in your career doing this, whether it's youth or whether it's pro, like there's always that game that you came back and won that you had no business winning, and then you went on a tear after that. And it's something else. But I'm very fortunate with my guys that they are loyal to me. I wouldn't want to coach anybody else other than my guys. They're the best. I mean, I'm on the phone with them every day. For a while, I was doing like 5 Black Ice trivia questions a day, and other than Tyler Kraft, not one person on the team can answer a question, regardless if they played in the games or not. It's really funny how they don't know anything about any year they won. It's pretty hilarious. But especially like the Palma Pro is the pinnacle of pro. It's the biggest tournament, and it's the one that you go on, and that's where everybody wants to win. And we've been lucky to be in the finals all 4 years that we've played. Been a little unlucky losing the last 3, obviously, but it's such an accomplishment just to get in the final every time, because all these teams beef up every year, and teams break up, and then they pick up somebody else's top guys, and it's not easy. But I like the fact that I've been blessed to have pretty much 95% of the guys every year. wouldn't want to coach with anyone other than Aaron, wouldn't want to do it with any of the other guys. And hopefully this summer we're back and, hopefully the outcome is, I like this picture a lot more than the last three, I would assume.
Now, Jay, speaking of opponents, who would you say is a team in the pro division that, everything's about matchups, right? We always talk about it. Some teams just match up well. Like I know for our sniper team, the Mudcats just have our number every time we play them. Like, doesn't matter. They're going to beat us probably. And some teams we play well against. Who's a team that you feel that you match up really well against out of a top echelon team, and who's someone that you feel like you just don't match up well with?
Well, I mean, it changes. Like there was a run we had with Palma where I think we beat Palma like 8 or 9 times in a row. And then last summer they wound up winning the Tours Nationals, and we didn't get to the finals in that one. And then we beat them in overtime at the Palma Pro over the summer. And then they just beat us 2-1 at Norwich Winter Nationals back in January. They're a team that we normally matched up very well against, but again, they have personnel changes, and that changes the thing. Like you guys, the first 2 times we played you guys ever in pro, we were fortunate to be on the winning side of things. And I think we've lost the last 7 or 8 times. And, regardless of rosters, whether it's Midwest Wars or something else. So, obviously we have our trouble with you guys at times. And RPD is another team for us. Trying to think of, some tournaments. I mean, even though we've knocked them out of a few tournaments in the quarters, it's never easy. They like at Palma Pro last year, I think we were winning 3-0 in the first period against them, and they came back and beat us 4-3. So, it's what it is. It's basically those teams they could be the top 4 teams, throwing another team in there, depending on rosters every now and again. So I usually think it's the top teams. You when you're on, and when you're not, and when you're not, teams as good as these guys take, they definitely take advantage of their opportunities and stuff like that. They're very, they can be tough on any given day. But it's always, like I said, it's always tough because not knowing when you're showing up to play somebody who they're really showing up with.
Right.
It changes everything.
Now, Jay, what has been your best State Wars experience? I know you've been around forever. Would this be the highlight, you think? Or
it's funny. Like it'd be easy for me to say this is the highlight. I mean, obviously, it's definitely the highlight of winning of something, an event like this with the guys, and the picture's on my screen right now, so basically, just brings a smile to my face. But I always remember the first game. I actually got to coach the first game ever at State Wars. It was New York 91 versus Colorado 91 in Bensonville, Chicago, Illinois. And that was the first game ever. I think that game started a little before everything else because it was made a big thing because it was the first game ever, and we won that game. And that's something I'll always remember. But, through the years, any chance I've had to do winning with any of those guys in the pictures, whether it was juniors or Juggernaut or a state team or, obviously the Palma Pro, those are always my favorite. Those are always my favorite memories. I mean, the guys just, they make it really fun. I have a really good group of guys, and it's funny now that they're not little kids anymore. A lot of guys in their late 20s and stuff like that. Some of these guys are my closest friends. I talk to 3 or 4 of them daily, every day, and just about all kinds of things, not just even hockey, just life in general. These are guys that, some of them are married, some of them are having children and stuff like that. So it's great to see that everybody is, growing up and they're all, staying out of trouble, and they're actually awesome people.
So Jay, what's your favorite location out of all the State Wars events, places to have it? What was your favorite?
I used to be we've talked about this. I used to really love Ohio. I don't even know why. I don't know if it was just I like driving there or whatnot, but that was always one of my favorites. But my favorite is 100% Indiana. I just like I like the area. I like the way the rink is set up. That's probably my favorite.
Okay. It's funny you say Cincinnati because I would think that's probably on the bottom of the list for most people just because, it's not a fancy rink. It was kind of run down, but I we were there 3 times, 08, 09, and 11. So obviously it was good to us. And, at every rink, they asked me this on Roller Dad News. I think every rink is special in different ways for us. So it's always great hearing, from a customer side or a coach or a player, what they liked about it.
Well, it's like anything. If you had success somewhere, you'll always remember where you were and when you had that success. And, that will always play into it. Indiana rink, I just like how it's situated, how it's lined up. It's very easy to get from one rink to the other very quickly. They have that overseating bar where you can watch all three of the rinks. That's probably my favorite.
Okay.
Jay, I know this is an easy one for you. I know you're the king of trivia, but who has been in every final at Palma Pro, player-wise?
KJ and Billy.
Correct.
Correct.
It's an easy one. I know it.
Pretty impressive.
Yep.
So Jay, I know you mentioned before, talking about some, your buddies, and one of the great things for me too, when your players get older, you can have real conversation, not just talk hockey all the time. So those who don't know, Jay and I, we talk almost every day, if not every few days during the season. He runs a rink out in Moriches, New York, Rapid Fire Arena, which I actually ran the rink before State Wars, before Jay came out there. So that's kind of our connection a little bit that way. But we have a lot of similar interests and whatnot. And one of them is Star Wars, no pun intended with State Wars, Star Wars. So we do a lot of Star Wars talk. So
Geeks.
Yeah. Greg's never seen a Star Wars movie. So he doesn't understand. When we start talking, Greg just goes about his business and then hangs up. But Jay, I got to ask you, you don't have children. So we've talked about this before. My kids, I have 3 daughters. They're not into Star Wars, which kills me, as you know. But
can I hit mute now?
I know you've tried.
So my 7-year-old the other day said, "Dad, I want to watch Star Wars." So I was like, "Oh my God, let's get downstairs." And, and I love Star Wars. I mean, Jay's a different level of loving Star Wars for everyone at home. I mean, he's, Stormtrooper pillowcase, R2-D2 toothbrush. He's a whole nother level of me, but I love it.
It's actually the other way around, but whatever.
I know you got a bath thing now, don't you? What do you got now in the shower? A shower curtain, don't you?
I do. The Han Solo and Frozen Carbonite shower curtain. It's the greatest shower curtain ever.
Not that I've taken a shower at Jay's, but he told me that he had that.
You're just mad. You're just mad Kim won't let you put it up. You love it.
It's still in the box from Christmas. So my daughter wanted to watch it. So here's my question for you, because I was torn. If you had a kid, God forbid the rest of the world, but if you had a kid, right? Would you start with Star Wars, A New Hope, episode 4, like we watched? Or do you start from episode 1 and go through the whole correct chronology of it? How would you handle that?
I would probably start with the original episode 4, even though I would think it'd be harder for her to stay into the movie just because the way it looks compared to the newer ones. But I'd probably at least try to do that.
Yeah, because if you start with 1 and go up, it's kind of funny how the special effects are really awesome and they get really bad in the middle and then they get good again. It's
and then it's a little. I would probably start with 4 if I had to, but that's
See, it's hard.
Which one did you wind up doing?
Hello?
All right, you there?
Jason?
Yeah, I got you.
I'm here. So
okay. We lost him?
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah.
It's all right. We'll keep going. So obviously I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I am a big Walking Dead fan. I know we always talk about that show along with Homeland. Homeland, crazy.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna start. I DVR'd all of them. I'm actually gonna start binge watching them probably later or tomorrow.
All right. Is that Tim back?
I don't know. I got you on my screen.
All right. So, all right, listen, we're going to go to another picture here.
Hit me.
Little deck hockey. So where was this picture taken? Explain the picture. All right. I know this was your first true love of the game. Let's just hear where you started and what rink you started at and all that good stuff.
Wow. All right. I started playing hockey. I think I got signed up when I was 6.5 at Miller Place. It was an outdoor facility, which is 5 minutes from my house. It's obviously no longer there. I think it was taken down in the late 90s and been playing the sport ever since. Still play it to this day. This
Jelly's Rink.
was taken. What's that?
Jelly's Rink.
Yeah, it wasn't Shelley's Rink when I played there, but at the end, when I went back, Shelley was there. And this was taken at Bermuda in 2018 at the World Games. This was the 40 and over Masters stuff, and I'm hopefully passing the ball to my team and not the other team. I can't recall where this ball went, but if I'm that confident moving it, I'm assuming it went somewhere to our guys. And we wound up losing this game. No, we wound up winning this game. It's probably one of the only couple of games we won. We wound up taking a bronze medal at this event. And
what was
that was a lot of fun. You had to be, it was 40 and over. You allowed two guys between the age of 37 and 40, I think.
Okay.
So most guys, I was actually one of the younger guys on the team. I think I was 42 here. Most of the guys on the team were in their late 40s, and then there was a group of guys that were around where I was. But most of my boys from Long Island, my boys Mark Goody and Stephen Shomes, they didn't make the trip. They were supposed to go out there with us. That's when we all tried out together, but things came up where they couldn't make it, so that was unfortunate. But it was the group of guys I got along with, I liked a lot. The guy in the picture is Joe Russo from Leominster. He's a awesome guy, an incredible player. And Jay Machin and Anthony Sillo from Long Island were on the squad, and we pretty much just palled around the whole time.
Now, a lot of people don't know about this sport. Obviously on Long Island, New York, there's a lot of it being played, and especially nowadays, it seems like it's coming back.
It's definitely come back way more. Deck hockey is way more popular now than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah. So explain to us, like, what's going on at your rink, Rapid Fire? Is there a lot of deck hockey being played? Is it roller hockey? Do you have youth leagues? What's going on there?
We have more roller than deck. We have more roller than deck, but we do have youth deck hockey leagues. We have 3 different divisions for kids, and they're actually been getting a little bigger over the last couple of seasons and whatnot. And hopefully that continues because God knows you never have enough kids and teams playing at your rink.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Now let's
Sam.
Hey,
yeah.
Now let's talk about Thursday night hockey.
And the feed gets up.
I don't know why I lost you guys a couple times. Greg, was it losing on your end too, or just on my end?
No, it seemed like we were good, right, Jay?
Yeah, I was good. Froze for a second, and then I was talking to Greg.
So I guess when it dropped on my end, at least it kept going for you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. We never got to finish our Star Wars talk, but we'll do that another day, I guess.
No worries.
So, Jay, let's talk about Thursday night hockey. I know I play in the league. I play against you. It's a fun league. Just kind of let's talk about that and, how the league was started and, how the teams are selected each season.
Well, basically, at the rink, we don't do any 4-on-4. All the men's leagues are 5-on-5, and the guy Al DeMauro, who you guys know very well, he plays on the New York.
Shout out to Al, Big Al.
Has played State Wars for years and years. He wanted to do a league where we were playing 4-on-4 for the guys that go away a lot to Winter Wars and into the summer event to be playing more 4-on-4 hockey. So we started a draft league. It started with 5 teams. We picked 5 different captains, picked the teams, run the league.
Jay, back up a little bit so you can see your face a little more. Jay, back up like a little bit. There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah.
And then basically it's just grown to where we got 9 teams now. So we have 72 guys playing on Thursday nights, and we've had guys, guys as good as Greg Thompson, John McGinnis, aka Johnny Mack, John Mosenson when he's healthy, John Healy, Danny Healy, a bunch of younger guys playing in the league now, and it's it's fun me playing in the league because there's a decent handful of guys in the league, especially all the good young guys that I coached growing up, and now they play on my team. And if you know me at all, I actually yell more when I play with you than I do when I coach you, and that's a lot because I yell a lot when I'm coaching. So, but I was honored one season I had Greg on my team, and he had to let me down in the finals and couldn't lead us to the promised land. So we were short guys. I don't draft him anymore, but I'm on my way once his coronavirus lets up to my 4-peat.
Yeah,
that's right,
we'll
Chris Pacone. 4-peat, Chris Pacone.
He's listening.
He's got nothing else to do.
No, it's an awesome league. You know, it's great seeing some guys you play with when we were kids. You know,
It's the
some
best.
guys
It's
just come out of the
Thursday night's the
woodworks.
best.
Guys like
Been
Andrew
trying to get-
Alveri and even guys like Rory Shepard, who you haven't seen in years, and just old school guys that just come back and they love the sport, and then they start playing tournaments again. So it's just really cool to see.
It really has been trying to get your boss to play the whole time, but he just won't take the drive out there.
Yeah, it's a little far for him.
And unfortunately, it's an hour ride each way, and then the hockey and all the beer drinking and talking we'd be doing there. I'd probably be divorced after the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, well, it's not that bad.
Yeah, true.
Certain nights.
Jay thought 2019 was bad. 20's even worse with this virus.
Yeah, it is. I didn't think they could top it. Now they make it where I can't go to the rink, I can't play hockey, and I can't coach it, and they cancel everything I like to do. So, we'll see what 2021 brings.
Right. So, Jay, I got a few questions for you. We're going to do a little speed round of some questions, and I want you just to answer quick. Not have to put a ton of thought into these. All right. Beer or wine?
Beer.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars.
Beatles, Led Zeppelin?
Zeppelin.
Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Seinfeld.
Coffee or tea?
I'd be tea because I can't stand coffee.
Steak or chicken?
Steak.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Golf or tennis?
Oh, shit. Neither.
Okay. Favorite food?
Macaroni and cheese.
Favorite album and band?
Wow. That's I'm gonna say Van Halen 5150.
Okay. Favorite movie, but you can't say one of the ones everyone says, The Godfather and Shawshank Redemption and Star Wars. Out of that group, favorite movie. You're on an island, you can bring one movie with you. It's not one of the big ones. What would it be?
It can't be one of the ones you just named.
No, it can't be one of the ones everyone's gonna say. Different, that B list.
Aliens.
Okay.
Wow.
The second Alien movie.
Okay. Now you've obviously coached a million guys from New York. All time, you have to put guys that you've coached on the rink at their prime, anytime. One goalie, 2D, 2 forwards for Team New York to win it all, $1 million. Who's your team?
Okay, so they all have to be from New York. So 2 forwards and 2D.
And a goalie. Anytime, any
And a
generation in their prime. Who's your team?
Okay. I'm gonna go Greg Thompson on D.
Jay, you don't have to say that because I'm here, Jay.
Well, I've coached you, and it'd be stupid not to say you're the best player ever to play. So I don't want to sound like I'm an idiot. So I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with you and PJ DiMartino on defense.
He's gonna pick me on the bench. Okay, keep going.
Timmy coaching. I'm gonna go with Mike Brown in the pipes. It's not a slight against anyone. It's my guy from back in the day when he was.
No one can be offended by these things, I know Joe Cook was saying today, you answer these questions, someone's always mad. Grow up, guys. These are questions, guys got to answer them. So who's your 2 forwards?
Forwards are really, really, really tough.
It's really tough. I almost don't want to pick any of my guys.
You go 2 lines.
I don't want to leave any of them out.
The Duke?
And I'm gonna. It's funny. I gotta go with Billy and KJ. I don't think anyone has won me more stuff back in the day when they were kids with them playing together. Even though there's a million other guys you can choose.
Okay, now take that same scenario. It doesn't have to be one of them, and I have a feeling it's not going to be when you answer this. But Game 7 Stanley Cup of roller hockey, $1 million on the line, comes down to a penalty shot. Of all your guys
John
of all
Chavo.
time, who do you want taking it?
John Chavo.
John Chavo?
John Chavo.
Johnny Mac number 2 on that list?
Holy shit! Not even thinking. I don't know. That's tough. Actually, 1A, 1B between Mac and Chavo.
Yeah, 2 great scorers, right?
I just saying it. To me, Johnny Mac is probably the best pure goal scorer of a guy coming down on a goalie and just shooting the puck without making a move. Like, it's never seen anything like it in my life. All the years doing this.
Yeah,
but I don't think I've ever seen Chavo miss a penalty shot.
Yeah, true. So now if I say these words here, it doesn't have to be one of your players. It could be any player in roller hockey. Who do you think of? Clutch.
Oh, wow. Yes, you have a million names going through my head right now.
Just give me the first one you think of. Clutch.
CJ Yoda.
If you're a goal scorer.
Johnny Mack.
Smartest player on the rink.
Tyler Kraft.
Best vision.
Wow. And moving the puck is my thing. And deck hockey, I would just answer Mark Goody, but I can't do that here. Shit, that's a tough one.
I'm gonna get Mark Goody on my 45 and over team this year.
Yeah, good luck with that. Wow,
man is Goody Mott out there together. Oof, oof.
Yeah, Charlie tries every Thursday to talk him into it. Wow, best vision. So many names are going through my head. You know what's so funny? I'm gonna say Cody Kettler.
Okay. Filthy hands. Who's a wow guy?
Oh, Chavo.
And best locker room guy you've ever had on your team?
KJ Tiffenworth.
What about Rowan?
Rowan's the craziest locker room guy I've ever had on my team.
Fair enough.
So getting back to State Wars for a second here, we got a few more minutes with you. And again, I thank you for being here with us, and pretty awesome that this is our first podcast, and I hope you're honored that you're our first ever guest on our first of hopefully many podcasts for SWH here.
Why I'm not going to be on every week?
Might get some requests for that. I'm sure Spano and the boys would like to see that.
They might.
So when State Wars first came out in 2005 to now, like, what do you feel about the event? Like from the youth, for the kids, like what you see in the sport and what it brings, and what do you love about it? Like, the state rules and all that stuff, which isn't always necessarily to your benefit, because you've had players like from PA and Jersey, but for that part of it, growing the sport, running a rink and seeing that kind of stuff and going to winter wars with those kids, what are your thoughts on just that whole concept of playing for your state or your province and stuff?
Well, the one thing about it is it's like anything else. It's like when you're growing up and you played for your school or something like that. Like you look at it a little differently. You want to represent as well as you can. I remember, back in the first, I'd say 10, 11 years of State Wars, I had so many of my younger kids doing it. So I was definitely more involved with the number of teams that I coached and stuff like that. I always hated going there and playing against my guys, though, like the PA 95s, when you're sitting there and I probably hate playing against Tyler Kraft more than any player that's one of mine to play against. But, it was good, though, because it built up a rivalry and you get to joke around in the locker room with the guys in regards to it and whatnot. But especially for us New York wise, like it was hard back in the day, really getting to win the AAA stuff. I remember, I think the first year we did it, I think we won AAA with the 90s, and some of them were my guys, and I knew most of the guys. But like some divisions, we never ever got to win. Like we never won 95 AAA, which I'll always be a little disappointed with. I think we won 94 one year. We won with the 94s one year. I think it was in Ohio. We had that crazy game the first year, and with the 93s. Garrett Haar was playing with the California 93, which most of them were the OC Blade kids. And I think we lost in either double or triple overtime. And I remember we had 9 guys and I was playing 5 of them, and they were just my Black Ice kids. And I remember when we lost, I remember looking at VO on the bench saying, all these non-Black Ice parents are just going to be so pissed at me when I walk off this rink. And a couple of them weren't that happy with it, but I just remember that game of being like, that was like probably one of the craziest games I was involved with. Like I think JT Hall and Vinny Caligiuri, I think played almost every minute of 5 periods of hockey that day, and it was nuts. But I
think it was a game. I remember Dave Torelli is walking all around the rink, pacing and stuff. I think I remember that. Yeah,
that's right. Brando was on the team in 2005 when we played.
It's funny, Jay, it's funny, Jay, when you talk about that, and this is going to sound like a really funny comment, but it's so true. it disappoints me that, all the years I coached the sniper teams, youth teams, I never got to coach a New York team at State Wars. Like, it wasn't around obviously then, so we had so many good young players back then, and I would have loved to have coached in State Wars, the New York kids, and I think what made it so special to me when I would look out on the rink in Bensenville those first years is kind of like this picture here where Jay Muro, John Mosen, Anthony Violante coaching together, where you guys would be rivals most of the time. You were black guys. He's the Road Runners. He was either with the Snipers or the 495ers or the Nike teams, whatever he was with at one time. So, guys were coming together. Timmy Wells was one of our original directors, Tor Smoke, or you look out on the rink and you'd see players from all different organizations now playing together. And that's the concept it was always built on. And it's so great. I don't know if there's as many huge rivalries in the sport now as there was then, but back in the day, if you remember, teams like hated each other, and coaches didn't get along as well. And I like that State Wars kind of brought a little bit of unity together with guys getting along better.
Since New York roller hockey is very different these days with the number of youth programs playing tournaments and whatnot, I try to tell my parents that they don't know what it's like back in the in the late 90s and early 2000s where, people be trying to steal people's kids in the crowd and they'd be fist fights.
Yeah.
Like they all think now, all they know is Vio and the Road Runners and Jason from Black Ice, and me and Vio were friends. So, obviously we don't have that nonsense going on, but they don't know what it was like back in the day with the stuff that went on at the rinks and stuff like that. Because, back then it was so hard just to win something locally that if you were blessed to win something nationally, it was so special because I used to go crazy just for a basic rapid fire tournament or sports arena tournament back in the day to win, or regional that was coming to town was as important back then as I look at the summer events now. But the one thing about State Wars that it taught me a little bit in the beginning was you were not just coaching your kids and you were not just coaching, kids of parents that So there were people that you were meeting for the first time, dealing with if that player's skill level was as good as the other kids and trying to get them out there and not ruining people's experiences. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to lie. The first 3 or 4 years, I probably ruined a few people's experiences of State Wars just in the fact that, you had big benches and short games and you went with what you knew. You went with your guys or guys that you knew from Long Island that you saw playing every weekend over, that diamond in the rough from Buffalo or Westchester or some outdoor rink that came down. So that was always good. But when it worked out, it was really special because the one thing I saw at State Wars is the parents were just always so appreciative of being there for the duration of the tournament, whether it was they would collect money and put it in an envelope and give it to you and thank you or pay for a dinner or something like that. Because, we were out there 12, 13 days, back then, for years and years, for 10 straight years, I don't think I missed a day at State Wars, before it just it got so nuts with everything that you just can't be everywhere. But, when you really think back at the beginning, like this picture, I haven't seen this picture I'm looking at of this 94 team and, God knows when it just brings back memories of, the fact that, I'm not upset of the decisions I've made in my life because I enjoy doing that more than anything else. I love going away and I love coaching and, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we're back to it.
And actually, you look pretty much the same there too, which is pretty remarkable. You got the Fountain of Youth in the back of Rapid Fire there. It's what's amazing to me and what's really great is last year. So in 2019 at State Wars, Dino Verone, Coach D, he got a bunch of kids playing, and Derek Kern, who played for me back in the day, and to me is one of the all-time greatest players ever to come out of New York as a hockey player. His son's playing now, and he coached a 6 and under team last year, and their people are pumped, and they're just so into it now and hooked. And now this year he's got more ice kids wanting to play. And then Dino had a couple teams. They knocked off a really good Illinois team in the 09 division. They wound up losing the final. Derek's team lost a tough one in overtime in the 6U final. So I'm starting to see New York kids now with these guys getting involved. We're getting more and more involved. And now I finally see that rush of youth coming back to New York for State Wars.
You're getting that second generation, you're getting, it's funny you said that. Like KJ sent me a video yesterday of his nephew. He's outside in front of his house. I think he's 5, 6 years old, shooting the ball around. And he's like, oh, he can't wait for Black Ice and stuff like that. you get in that next generation. You know, you get guys like Derek Kern who grew up, you know, playing all fathoms of hockey between deck, ice, and roller. I mean, I met Derek playing deck hockey. He was good friends with my brother growing up. They played ice together. Derek obviously played roller, you know, and now he has kids and now he wants to get them involved, and you get in that, you know, next generation of kids going and stuff like that. And, you know, it's only a positive for the league, you know, positive for roller hockey in general, getting more kids playing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember, I'll just joke around with Jay here for a second. Kids today think parents are tough. Derek used to tell me a story that he used to practice with Jason and his brother, and it would get really cold out, and Jason's dad would put Vaseline.
You're really doing this, aren't you? You're such a dick.
Put Vaseline on Jay's face and make him stay out there in the cold and keep practicing. So that's just hardcore. Like today,
it would
parents
make
are so soft.
It'd make the wind blow through you instead of at you. All right, it did help. It was beneficial. You know,
Jay,
Derek, I guess he probably had.
You might not
Derek
be
probably had Vaseline on his face too.
You might not have been playing on Team USA in deck hockey today if it hadn't been for that training.
It hasn't been for the Vaseline when I was little.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
You're such a dick.
I was going to ask you before in Star Wars, Jay, if you could be one character, who are you in Star Wars? If you could be one person.
If anyone wants to be anyone other than Han Solo, they're out of their minds.
So would that make Aaron Chewbacca?
I look at Aaron more like C-3PO.
So Jay, what's next here? So you've done almost everything in the sport. Like you run the rink, you're doing great there. You've played for, you play still. You coach the highest level. You're one of the most successful coaches ever in the game on the youth level. Now, obviously, a pro. Is there anything in the sport you haven't done yet that in the future you'd love to accomplish?
I'd probably like to get involved with the international stuff. Just because so many of my guys are involved in it and whatnot, I'd probably like to throw my hat in that. I got to go to the Czech Republic a couple of years ago and play, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I'd like to be involved with that someday if that worked. But if not, you know, I'm pretty happy with everything that's gone on, and hopefully I get to do it for a few more years. Hopefully the guys keep me around.
Yeah, it'd be great if maybe one day all three of us were on a bench together overseas somewhere coaching. That'd be pretty fun.
Or you could just
Really
throw
cool.
Greg off and we could just do it.
Might need Greg playing. You never know. He looked pretty good last summer. He was ready to throw him back out there.
He should. Yeah. Greg's his own worst critic.
Yeah, 100%. Still could do it. He'd still be all right out there.
Well, this isn't helping, guys. Sitting around eating all the time, no gym. It's not good, Jay.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
All right, but Jay,
Lots
it's
of drinking.
great catching up with you here. Our next guy coming up is actually one of your guys, Tyler Kraft. So, really
He's
excited.
one of my favorites.
Yeah. So we'll be talking to you soon. We appreciate your time today. Appreciate everything you do for not only State Wars, but for the sport. You're honestly, one of the best guys in the game. So thank you for being part of this today.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Could have been
No
here all
problem. I
day.
appreciate it, boys.
All
I
right,
guess
we'll
I'll see you
soon.
next Tuesday.
All right.
Later, guys.
Take
Later.
care, Jay. Thanks.
So in a second here, we're going to bring Tyler Kraft. He's been waiting patiently to join us here. We'll take a quick break and we'll bring in Tyler.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Kavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
All right, we're back here. SWH podcast, episode number 1. You just heard Jason Muro just left us there. And now we got our good friend Tyler Kraft.
How we doing?
How you doing, buddy?
How are you guys?
What's up, Tyler?
So Tyler, I know you're a Pennsylvania boy, so I'm assuming you're still down in Florida?
Yeah, I'm still here in Florida right now.
How do you like it down there? I'm sure you're enjoying the weather.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, even with all this craziness going on, I still get to enjoy, going for a long skate outside. It's beautiful out. So I like that part, but sucks being away from the family right now during this.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. We've been talking here about, positivity and keeping things positive here during this tough time for everybody.
Yep.
I should have mentioned this at the beginning. I'll mention it now. We want to thank everybody out there the police, the firemen, the hospital workers, the grocery store workers, the sanitation, the teachers, and everyone that's working during this time on the front lines and having to work and just making our country run. Obviously, our hats off to you guys, because it's without you guys, there would be nothing going on right now. And you're keeping us somewhat sane and healthy and safe, hopefully. I know my wife's a school teacher. She's been working from home, and she's actually working harder now, I think, than when she was at school. And I think there's a lot of people out there, a lot of parents who probably have taken teachers for granted and thought they have it easy. They're off in the summers. It's an easy job, blah, blah, blah. And now being home with their kids, having to deal with them all day and do homeschooling and whatnot, they probably have a new appreciation for teachers. So a big thank you to all the teachers out there too. And I know, Tyler, you were doing some teaching down in Florida, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I started off doing the library stuff, helping out in the library, and then I made my way to the classrooms. I started helping out with 5th grade math, and actually now I'm at home. I'm watching Kyla. She's a teacher. She's been working harder than ever, like you said. She's been on there all day long, seeing what kids are missing, calling parents, this and that, and it's crazy. I had to make a few phone calls too to tell the kids to do some work and whatever they're missing, help them out with that. So it's a lot different now.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Yeah, well, hats off to Kyle and all the teachers out there. So Tyler, we're gonna get right into it here. I've known Tyler. Tyler is one of the few people out there that I know has been at State Wars, I believe, every year since 2005. I remember going to tryouts in Marple back in Pennsylvania that first year, and Tyler was kind of like this little pudgy kid out there, and
Oh yeah,
wasn't the strongest player yet that he's grown into. He was just an average player, but he made that team, obviously, and that Pennsylvania '95 team. It's been talked about for years, but that team went on to be arguably the greatest team ever put together over a course of time to play at State Wars. And I'll get into some of the specifics about that. But Ty, when you look at this picture right here, what thoughts come to your head immediately?
just great memories. Just unbelievable times with these guys. I still talk to a majority of them. I play with Matt Gerger still with Black Ice, so we talk a lot. Andrew Romano still reaches out to me. He still follows Roller. He still loves it and misses it, and he's hoping to get back into it. It's just this team. We played so much and we won so much together. It's great times. It's unbelievable.
And I would imagine Matt Gerger, he might be someone too that's played almost every year at State Wars.
I think he only missed 1 or 2, if that. He's been there every year too. Besides that 1 year, I think we didn't do Palmer Pro. Besides that,
yeah, you came out and played, but go with the Fro that year, right? The first year.
Yeah, I was with the Fro.
Right. But yeah, I'm going to read off here. I did some notes today, just a little bit about the Pennsylvania team. Just how impressive some of the stuff here about you guys was. I want to read this off here. So the Pennsylvania '95 team played from 2005 to 2013. There you can see a young Tim McManus back when I had black hair and to grow it a little longer, shaking Tyler's hand there.
My pop's in the background.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to him in a minute.
Oh, I can't wait.
So, and I know we've talked about this before, but the bookends of the history of PA '95 is incredible because you guys, from the time of 2005 to 2013, you guys had an overall record of 55-2. And the 2 games that you lost, as you know, was the first game ever you guys played in 2005, a loss to North Carolina, who was a pretty good team.
Yep.
And the last game, unfortunately for you guys, which was a shootout loss to Ontario in the championship game, which upset you guys from having won every single year of 9 seasons. So you guys won 8. But over that time, you guys went 35-1 in the round robin, 20-1 in the playoffs. You won 8 titles in 9 years. And Tyler Kraft specifically had 55 goals and 57 assists through the round robin, 28 goals, 17 assists through the playoffs, for a total of 83 goals and 74 assists for 157 points in 57 games played at a 2.75 points per game average. Just incredible. And arguably, Greg, I would think maybe the greatest statistics ever in State Wars history, right there.
100%, 100%. And Tim and I, we watched it from the beginning. That's the funny thing. That whole team was just so good. There was so many key parts to that team, and a lot of those guys are still playing to this day. And Tyler was always special. You know, he always put up those points and did well. He obviously, looking at those stats, guys, he wasn't just a goal scorer. You know, he moved the puck as well, and that's the most impressive thing about him.
You know, it's funny when you hear a name like Jonathan Quick, you know, the name, you know, or just sometimes people have names. Bolt, right? The guy whose last name is Bolt is the fastest person in the world. What's the odds of that? I think it's Kraft. I think it's Crafty, right? That's his nickname, and that's what he is on the rink. He's never been the fastest or the biggest or the most powerful, but you add everything together, and he's got the most important part. Like I tell the kids I coach, he's got the brains, and you put all that together, and you get one of the best players ever play the game in Tyler Kraft.
Yeah, Jay Muro was just on before, and you know, he said you were the smartest player he's ever coached.
Right there, coming from the coach himself.
Yep.
So Tyler, I'm going to bring you back here. So this picture here and the one before were from Cincinnati in 2009. And that's the year that you guys had a really big test. Do you remember who you played in the championship that year that took you?
I want to say that was Florida.
Yep.
That was probably one of the.
That was a great game.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest wins I've had at State Wars. You know, that was like with all the hype before the tournament. You know, all the parents. You know, my dad included was going back and forth with a couple of Chase Howard's dad. You know, just friendly, but going
Your
back.
father would call the office daily.
Oh, my dad was a psycho. I know.
Asking who was on each team. He was at tryouts. He was just taking his notes.
He really took his coaching job serious.
He did.
And, he wanted to win more than anything. But that game specifically, I think we were down 3-0, maybe something. We were down. We came back and we won in overtime. And even the crowd for a young game, like we had a lot. The whole stands were packed. We had people without their shirt. It was crazy. Like it was just.
Cincinnati rink, you know, it looked so packed when and it was loud. Those stands were like aluminum.
Yes, so every time you made a step, it was just you heard it.
Yes, and it was just so crazy in there.
And you could run back and forth from the rink, so you could pop your head in, run out.
Yeah,
it wasn't like you had to go around and find the other rink. So
yeah, I love that rink for sure.
What I remember about that game, and I still remember it. I'm watching it, and you got because leading up to the tournament every year, Andrew Kraft, Tyler's dad, like Greg said, he called the office, and him and I became friendly, and he's a good buddy of mine now, and we would talk daily leading up to the tournament, 0-0 with these guys. Director, but I got to be honest, I'm on. There is a thing into that, and people that, and you remember who scored the overtime winner? Would love to see him one day back at it. The bump in the road, and you guys move on, and not until 2013 when you met up with Ontario did you have a tough go again. So what do you remember about that game with Ontario?
I remember that first we played Michigan in the semifinals, and we struggled a little bit even with them. It wasn't like it was an easy win. So we played them and we had a tough time with them, and then we went into the final and we played Ontario, who they beat New York. And they beat him with like a buzzer beater, some crazy goal. And I actually rather play New York because we know them and whatever else, PJ, Jason, their whole team. But so we ended up playing Canada, Ontario, and they played great that game. They had a couple big goals. I remember in overtime.
Break in that game, Tyler?
Yeah, your skate broke, didn't it?
Skate break?
My skate did break. Yeah, I had to actually. My friend Derek Schultz, he played up with us that year, so I put on his skates and went back out there. But
how much time did you miss?
I don't know, maybe 5-6 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Yeah, it's a
quarter of the
game.
game.
Yeah, it's a short game, so that was. I remember that for sure, but no excuses. We just. In overtime, we turned the puck over and they came down and scored. And I remember when they scored that goal, it was like just everyone. I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not used to this. I was like, Jesus, it's over.
Remember who scored the overtime winner for them?
Yep, Aiden Board.
Yep.
Very good, correct.
Yeah, Aiden Board, and he sallied hard, and I did not like it.
Yeah. Now it's funny. What was so great to me about PA 95. It was the first time I saw with the tournament where people wanted to put teams together to beat them. You know, get kids to tryouts, push kids just for the sole purpose of beating you guys. I remember Michigan 95 wanting that bad. I remember Florida. I remember California. And when Joe Cook comes on after, we're going to talk about that the year he coached.
I remember that. They came
Joe
up
and
with
your dad, they used to battle about it a lot. And you guys were both 4-0 that year with them in 2012, I think, in St. Louis.
Yeah.
They had a great team with Troy Loggins and Cody Page and some of the guys. And we'll talk about that with Joe. But guys were just coming together, you know, Missouri, you know, teams just to try to beat you guys. New York, obviously, with PJ and Nelson and Mundinger and, you know, Josh Wager. And, you know, they always had a good group. Everyone just wanted to beat you guys. And from my end, from the tournament side, it was amazing. You know, because you guys raised the bar so high and everyone wants to get to it. And, you know, and since then we've had, not to your level yet, but we've had some really good youth teams over the years now from different states and younger age groups that are pretty darn dominant too. But as you know, it's like everything else. Records are easier to break when you're trying to beat a record. You guys were just playing. You guys were the first, so you're just setting it. You're not even thinking about a record, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's. Let's fast forward from PA 95 to after that. You know, we get to Mission Black Ice, Palma Pro Division. We talked to your coach, Jay Muro, for a while before, had a great talk about the Palma Pro. And, you know, you guys as a team missed the first year and then came in 16 and won it. And then you guys have been in the finals 3 years after that. Unfortunately, had a little tougher to go in the finals and only won one of those 4 finals. But you guys get to the finals. You get to the dance every time. Just so when Palma Pro first came out, I mean, you got there with another team in the first year. What did you think of the division immediately? Because you've played pro before, and how has this division kind of changed the game and the pro level?
Well, when I came to Palma Pro, I was playing with a lower end pro team, you could say. So, you know, we got there and we saw all the games and we saw next gen snipers, you know, Alkali, Revision had a solid team, Mudcats. Just every team there was just, you know, they had their full team. They were ready to go. It was great atmosphere too. You had a lot of the youth kids, you know, they would watch with their kids, which is awesome. You know, their whole team would be in the stands. The stands were packed, and I think it was in Missouri. So those like the rink's big, so you know it's pretty insane when it's packed there. So I just remember, just the tournament itself was just such a great pro tournament, and you know, for me, obviously, it wasn't that great because I was playing on one of the worst teams, but you know, every game was good. You know, we played. I think the best game we played Palma. We tied them with the Fro, and I think they went on and they had a solid tournament. But what I noticed about that tournament,
you guys played us the first game, a tough game.
That was a close one.
I think we boxed it up, didn't we?
Yeah, I remember it was our first game, which is always our toughest every tournament we go to, and I don't know if you guys were winning 1-0 or it was 0-0. It was close.
I think it was 0-0 for a while.
Yeah, it was close for a while, and I remember just telling the guys that, because you know the games are longer, right? 18-minute halves. That extra time just seems like an eternity, and we just kept thinking, all right, a long game, the right team's going to win most times in these games, right? Like sometimes a shorter game, anything could happen, right?
100%.
But 2 18 halves, stop time, it's a long game. So we just persevere, right? Keep going, roll the lines and roll your 3 lines and keep playing. And you guys played really well against us, very good defensively. And it was a struggle. And I remember just that first game because we had that game and then we lost to the Mudcats either the next game or 2 after that. And we were like, wow, this is going to be tough.
Yeah. Just, I think you guys were a lower seed that year and you guys ended up winning.
We just squeaked in.
Yeah, you guys. So that's what I'm saying. Like the tournament was just top to bottom, just top competition. You know, anyone can win, like you said, any given day. It's just, you come that Sunday, it's just whoever plays the best wins.
How did it feel in 16 to win it?
Oh, it was great. I mean, we previously won a couple tournaments. We won Narch a couple times, and then, we came here and we from the round robin to the championship game, we played top level teams the whole time. There was no easy wins. And I remember when we played Alkali, we were losing by a couple goals, and I was like, wow, it's, we're about to lose in the quarterfinals. And we ended up coming back and winning, and, knocking off a team like Alkali with, all the players they have is just an accomplishment itself. And then we ended up playing the Mudcats in a great game. We beat them, and then we played you guys in the final, and we ended up beating you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, because Jason and I were talking about the same year, because we're doing the top 20 countdown now of all-time pro games in Palma Pro.
Yep.
And that game against Alkali will definitely be up one of the top games ever played. You had a phenomenal game. I remember that game. But we were talking about how, even in the round robin, so you guys went 3-1 that year in the round robin. You lost to Palma.
Yeah.
But your round robin was, and you're Mission Black Ice, right? You used to having like a pretty good schedule, I would think, going into a tournament, no different than the Snipers do.
Right.
Your round robin there, you guys played Ribeiro Cyprus, which was Ethan and those guys at the time, in junior, I believe.
Novak, I think, played with them.
Then you played the Roadrunners, who you only beat 3-2, so they were up and coming. Obviously, that rivalry of a team that knows you guys. Palma and Revision Flex. I mean, that's your 4 games. So, as a player, how does it feel, and how different is it to know when you go to this pro division that you can't sleep through the round robin? Oh, we'll get going in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, like coming into it, your first, you have to play every game, like you said. There's no easy game, so you have to win games because you want to make it to that Sunday. For like this summer we just played, our first game was against Alkali. So seeing that schedule, you're like, wow, our first game's against RPD, but realistically every team is top notch. So it's like, we played them, we lost. So we went 0-1 going into the tournament. We knew we had to win the rest of our games, either get a good seed or even make it into the playoffs. So it's just every game means something. It's almost like every game's like a little playoff atmosphere almost. You have to bring your A game and win those games.
I was having this discussion a couple days ago with George Brown, who coaches the Excitement. And we were saying how, when you're a new team, you come in, because every year, we have 4 teams that apply to get in, and this year we have 6 or 7 teams trying to get in as that new spot.
Mm-hmm.
We have Rink Rat Detroit, a new team, Inferno, Conix, the Alkali Grizzlies, who else? Comograph. Who else, Greg? The Excitement. Teams trying to get in, and what's tough is you get in the division and that round robin. Yeah, you may pull off a win. Like I remember Excitement 2 years ago beating Alkali in the round robin. Or you guys lost to someone. Roadrunners beat Palma. Like you have that win, and you're so excited. You got that win. You got your first one. You got the win. Then you got to win another one. Because you need at least 2, maybe even a third, or at least a tie to get into the playoffs, right? And then you get to the playoffs, you got to run off 3 straight wins on a Sunday, which is not easy, right? I know some people have complained. They wish, and we've toyed around with maybe moving the quarterfinal to Saturday night and starting the games on a Thursday and have 1 game at night, and then Friday play 2, Saturday play your final one, the quarter Saturday night, and then just semi and the final on Sunday. Because some guys think it's too tough to play those 3 games on a Sunday. So you could look at it both ways. It's a real challenge. That's why you need 3 good lines and possibly 2 goalies. But it's hard to get through 3 games on a Sunday, right?
100%. That Sunday is killer, especially, like you said, you need your 12 guys. And if you're shortening the bench and you only roll 9, 10 guys, I mean, it's that Sunday, that last game, if you get there, is very tough to, bring your all. But, you got to do what you got to do.
It's a long day, that's for sure.
It's definitely a long day.
Now let's talk about the Rink Rat Championship game with you guys. Obviously, it was a huge game for the sport. People think of Snipers, Black Ice, Palmer, like certain teams you think of. Rink Rat kind of slid in there. And they knocked off, I don't know if it was the Mudcats and Palma in the round robin. They were a team of destiny, but they played you guys. I would think you guys were heavy favorites for a lot of people going in. But all I remember a couple things from that game. I'm going to let you talk about how you felt. But what I remember is, one, I don't know if I've ever seen a rink more crowded. There were about 2,000 people in the rink. in was it in St. Louis, right? Was it
Yeah, St. Louis.
Yeah.
So it was packed, and I remember just how many people there. And then we looked on the live stream. There was tons of people watching the game. So many people watching it, and it was such an exciting game. I remember Greg and I at the end. We got to bring the trophy out. Whatever. We were standing behind the net at the end for it to end, and you guys had that little comeback at the end, and then a puck came to you very late in the game, kind of rolled off your stick on a little backhand. I thought you were going to tie the game with like about 5 seconds left.
Yeah, I did too, honestly. But that game was crazy. The fans were crazy. I mean, I think, like you said, going into the game, a lot of people were probably assuming we were going to beat them. I mean, Rink was a great team, but I think they only had 8 guys that they were rolling, and
They sat some, yeah.
yeah, they rolled a short bench for sure, and they played great. I mean, they played, they did the Sunday. They had 3 games on Sunday that they played, and
Yeah, they had a hot goalie too.
yep, their goalie, he was
And a wet one.
and a wet one for sure. I remember that. That's one thing I remember.
Yeah, I had to change the floor.
Yeah, he was
was
sweating
common.
pretty hard. I think it was every whistle.
Yeah. He's grunting, he's sweating, he's all over the place, but he played unbelievable. He actually took a really bad penalty in that game. He whacked someone, and then he gave you guys a power play, and you scored, and you got you back into it.
Yeah, that was pretty
good. One, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was great for the sport. I mean, obviously, you guys want to win it. I'm watching it, going, this is great for the sport, because you want everyone to realize that, hey, anybody can win this thing. Granted, some teams might have better rosters or on paper look better, but it's like that any given Sunday mentality. One game 100%. Elimination, anybody can win, right?
Yeah, they came to play that game too. Eton Jr. really stepped it up, and they had Garrett Ross and a couple other guys that just really played great, and they earned it that game for sure. They were the better team that game.
So Tyler,
okay, Greg, sorry.
One question I have: what makes your Black Ice team so good? Like, how do you guys show up every game and just?
I think it has a lot to do with our relationship off the rink too. It's just like we're always on the same page. We're always hanging out. We're always doing everything as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Especially during this time, like everyone's talking every day. It's just like we're a family, and we all play, for each other. So we all want to win, for the next guy in the locker room, and it's just I think that is something that we have more than other teams have. And it's been the same team for a majority forever. We don't have a lot of new pickups. Like a lot of teams, they'll get a new guy or a new couple guys that just don't gel well. But I think for us, it's just been the same core guys, majority of the guys there, and just we're all very tight.
Yeah, nowadays you see guys jumping ship, moving teams. The grass is always greener, but obviously, you guys stay together, good things happen. So
100%, yeah.
So Tyler, I'm going to run through a couple questions with you that we did this with Jason. Just some fun stuff. Just want you to answer quick, whatever comes to your head first. Just comes to mind, just say it. And just to learn a little bit about Tyler Kraft here away from hockey and about some of your perspectives on the game. So name a couple things here. Just pick one, which is what you prefer. Beer or wine?
Beer.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Haven't watched either.
Jason Muro might be cutting you after this.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might as well just say Star Wars for him, but
too busy for that. Beatles or Led Zeppelin?
Beatles.
Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Seinfeld.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Steak or chicken?
Chicken.
Winter or summer?
Summer.
Golf or tennis?
I'm horrible at golf. Tennis.
Pennsylvania or Florida?
Pennsylvania.
Favorite food?
I'm a big chicken guy, honestly. I have chicken 5 times a week, so.
Okay. What's your favorite band and album?
I don't really have one.
No? Okay.
No, I'm not really big.
Not into music?
No, not really.
What's your favorite movie?
The Warriors.
Wow. Okay. Who as a hockey team, there's always a team that we talk about matchups all the time. Who would you say you guys match up really well against? Are some of the top teams that you don't mind seeing them as, hey, we do pretty well, match up well? And who's someone that you say, we got to play those guys? I don't want to play them. Who's the team you think you match up pretty well against?
I think we match up pretty well against Palma for the most part. I mean, you know, we're always in a good battle with them. For a team we don't match up well against, you know, obviously you guys, for something, you know, we had a couple good games against you, but for the most part, we haven't really won our battles there. A team I don't like to play against just because they know us so well and they're definitely up and coming and they're ready, is the Roadrunners. I just think they know us and they just play more confident, less scared. You know, they give us their best game when they play us.
Okay. When you hear the word clutch, what player comes to mind? Any team, could be your team, a different team. You hear clutch, who comes to mind?
Chavo.
Pure goal scorer.
Should have saved it. Yeah, I'm gonna Matt White.
And you could say yourself here, but smartest player.
Thompson.
Best vision.
Best vision. That's a tough one. I have a couple names going through my head.
Throw one out there.
Cody Keller.
Jason said that too.
Filthy hands.
Filthy hands. Jack Combs.
Best locker room guy.
100% KJ.
You and Jay Muro, we could have done Family Feud. You guys were right on the same page.
Yeah, KJ gets everyone going. He's unreal.
And he's pretty good too. Decent hockey player.
Oh, he's the man. He's great.
KJ is one of the best.
100%.
So now moving forward, so we've touched on your childhood at State Wars. Now we touched on the Pro Division. Now we're going to talk about the next chapter here that you got to experience last summer. Playing in Barcelona for Team USA. So just want to hear first a little bit about when you realized that the opportunity might be there to play, and finally, because I know in 2017 you were part of our IHF camp in Chicago, which was a really tough camp, and you played terrific. Just was a numbers game. You didn't make it that year, which I'm sure was disappointing. Mm-hmm. But 2 years later, then opportunity arises, play for Team USA. So first, what thoughts went through your head when you first were asked, and just about that whole opportunity?
I was just so excited to, you know, finally be asked and be able to be part of the team. And I just, you know, I missed out on double I's that year, but like you said, that team is just, you know, there's only so much you can really do on that team. That team was just stacked. And I know I watched all the games and I saw how it was. And, you know, I'm really good friends with a lot of the guys on the team. So I talked to them about their USA experience, and you know, they had the best time of their life, you know, being away with the guys and playing for representing your country and just winning, you know, just, you can't really beat that. So when I got asked to play, I was just so excited to try and, you know, win and represent the country the best I could.
So even for someone like you, who's done it all, you, like we said, you've won locally more than maybe anyone. When you get over there, and obviously I was there with you, but I want to hear it in your words. First game, first shift, and you get over there. Are you nervous?
Yeah, definitely nervous. Even though I shouldn't, like, you know, there's no reason to be nervous, but just like, I think everything, you put everything into consideration, you know, you're just like, you're on a team like this, you don't want to screw up, you know. I'm playing, I mean, my line was me, Chavo, PJ, and Shane. So it's not like I play with these guys all the time. I know how it is, but I was just in my head a little nervous. And once the first, I think it was probably the first two shifts were over, I kind of got more used to it and started playing the way I should have. But yeah, that first shift was definitely nervous for me.
I remember we played Canada. You had a real good game against Canada. Was that game 2, Greg?
Was it game one?
Game one.
One.
Game 1. Okay, so
Yeah,
that was
game one.
Yeah, so you started out, a little nervous, but then you got going and you scored a huge goal in that game.
Mm-hmm.
2. Same shot, I think.
Yeah, same shot,
Yeah.
low blocker.
Yeah.
Now, how different for you was smaller rink, smaller nets? It's obviously a little bit different game. What kind of adjustment and what did you think differently about that compared to how we play here?
So I got the opportunity to play in France last year for a little bit. I was there for 2 months or about. So I kind of got to play on that style with the small nets and the small rink. But it was definitely a lot easier playing with everyone that, you're used to, like your style. I think when I went over there, it was a lot different because they played completely different game. But, playing with like our guys, it was a lot easier to adjust and, you knew where to be and what you needed to do to score goals and play the right way. So I think it was, once you got used to it a little bit, it was pretty easy.
Okay.
You have to shoot a lot, shoot from everywhere.
Right. And how different is it to you? Like we just talked about in the Palma Pro, you're playing 3 games on a Sunday. Here now, you're playing 1 game a day, and you got the 1 game, you spend all day getting focused for it, right? And then it's over and you got to get ready for the next day. Is that easier or harder for you?
I think there's just a lot of downtime. I mean, it was the tough part for us was we were playing the last game of the night every night. So like we had to wait all day and, keep busy, and then you get to play your game. Like you're anxious to play. But, I mean, once we were skating and we were doing, team activities, going to the beach, playing volleyball, whatever. So we kept busy, but I mean, it's pretty easy, I guess you could say.
And which countries there at the tournament were you most impressed with?
Spain kind of shocked me a little bit. They were pretty solid. They skated hard. A lot of those teams, they just don't play the same way that we do. So they're kind of just, their style is so different. So like Spain, France, and Czech, like they're all great teams, but they just don't play the same type of style that we do. But, those teams really stood out to me for sure.
I was pretty impressed with the Czech team.
Yeah, Czech was pretty good. They were definitely good. Their goalie was unbelievable.
Yeah.
We played him that first game. He was lights out.
Yeah, he was tough. I mean, how did it feel just wearing, like you're looking at that picture there? I mean, how does it feel just looking at it? If you remember, we had that talk before when we first got there about how honored we should all feel because only 12 skaters in the entire country out of the thousands that play roller hockey are wearing that sweater. I mean, how special does that feel when you're overseas?
Oh, it was the greatest experience that I've had playing hockey. Just being able to represent, and you never know if you're ever going to be able to get asked again. So you just take every shift, every game. You just don't take it for granted, and you just you love it, and that's about it.
I always try to explain to Jay Muro, because you know how Jay is. He's always like, it's easy. I always tell him you don't realize these countries, they get so into it, right? I mean, they remember our game with France in the playoffs. How many people are there, and they're all rooting against you, and there's so much energy. And like we talked about, even with the Palma Pro, it's 1 game elimination. Small rink, small nets, referees call games. A lot of penalties at times. Hot goalie. It's so easy to be out, right?
Oh, anything can happen. And that game in France, they had the fans against us. I think they scored a couple, like an early goal or something. So it was just like everything, you never know what's going to happen. So we all played great that game and we ended up winning, but that game could have gone either way.
Now, how cool was it for you? So when we were out there, Tyler's girlfriend, we mentioned earlier, she played for the women's team for Team USA. And you guys both brought home gold medals. So there was no one having to, brag to the other one and that they got one up on the other one. So that must have been nice for the ride home, knowing that you guys both won.
Oh, it was great. She, we watched her final before ours, and she killed it. She had 2 goals. I was going crazy in the stands, but besides that, she had an unbelievable championship game, which is awesome. And like, I got to experience that and watch that. And then she watched our game and we got to, win together, which was like unbelievable. And, you don't get to do that all the time. So that was just a great experience. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
BT?
Yeah. So in closing, Tyler, what has been your best State Wars memory? And you can even, you know what? Yeah, overall. Let's hear overall.
That's tough for me because, like we mentioned earlier, that Florida game was huge. That was a big win. I mean, I know I was only like 14 at the time, but it was just that was such a memorable time, and we played such a great team and a great game and came back from behind and won that game. So that's definitely one of them. Even we played juniors and Juggernaut that year in Missouri when Palma Pro first happened.
Mm-hmm.
I brought a team together. It was just kind of like a couple local guys. We had Foxy play with us, and we ended up beating like Cody Kettler, Corey Kettler, and we had a big junior win against them in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Dwyer net, but obviously winning pro is like the best thing. So 2016 winning pro is probably the best memory for me.
I got one more. Favorite State Wars coach? Your dad
Gotta say my
or
dad.
Mr. Muro?
Gotta go with my dad.
Okay.
Awesome. Oh, he'll keep paying your cell phone bill now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's watching this,
He's definitely watching this right now.
100%. Yeah.
It's got to be killing him. He can't go to the casino. He can't play the one-arm bandits right now. He's got to stay home.
He's struggling right now.
I'm sure.
Now, I did hear a rumor that he doesn't like watching your games when he's in the stands.
Yeah, he doesn't. So let's say he doesn't really go to much, but if he does, like he'll be in the parking lot texting a parent that's there, like, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on?" Like he's
afraid to fly, so he can't go somewhere. Can't go in an elevator. He has all these little, intricacies that he can't, So
you know him, so
yeah.
he's out there.
All right, well, Tyler, we love having you. We really we're so excited to have you on our first podcast here. Thanks so much for being with us. Thanks so much for being a big part of State Wars history, and we will hope to see you on a ring real soon.
Yep, hopefully. Stay safe, everyone.
Thanks, Tyler.
Of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. See you at the rink soon.
Well, JT, we're back here. SWH Live podcast number 1. It's basically been Mission Black Ice Day here. Jason Muro, head coach, Tyler Kraft, one of their top players, also a member of Team USA. And we're gonna switch gears here now and bring on someone that's been a part of the sport forever, Joe Cook. So without further ado, let's bring him in here out of the waiting room. Hopefully Joe's here for us.
The true godfather of roller hockey.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. What's up, Mr. Cook?
He's got his boys behind him.
The Alkali boys. Joe, this is we're talking about making lemonade out of lemons here. We're not even talking about the virus. We don't even want to hear about it. This is all positivity, positive talk, as I know you like to talk about everything positive. So how things going with you over there in California?
He's getting his audio together.
Your audio in, Joe? Is it the mask or is it your audio? You got to click on the audio, Joe. So in the upper right corner, Joe, you should be able to click on those 3 dots and click to get audio started. All right.
There we go.
There we go. You hear us now, Joe?
You got me, boys.
All right. Here
What's up, Joe?
Hi, fellas.
How you doing, Joe?
I'm hanging in. How are you?
Doing great. This first podcast going great so far. We had Jason Muro on, Tyler Kraft, 2 great guys in the sport, and bringing up the rear here is one of the best in the business. Good buddy of mine, Joe Cook, Alkali Hockey, with his boys.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you. All right, there we go.
All right. So Joe, we're going
I
to talk
gotcha.
about a lot of different things here, but we're going to start out this picture here. You're going to jog back your
I'm good.
memories a little bit here. What comes through your mind when you see that picture?
Hold on. I got double audio going. Hold on.
Turn the live off of the YouTube.
Done.
Okay.
Done.
You look at that picture,
Sorry,
Joe.
I was so excited about listening to you guys today, so I had to have two screens going. There's chaos.
So this is 2012, Joe, in St. Peters, Missouri.
Yep.
You coached both 95 teams that year, the AAA team and the AA team.
I did.
So this was the AA team winning the championship.
That's right. That's right. Our AAA team got piss pounded, I think. I don't remember by whom, probably Kraft and his boys. But yeah, the AA team won. And my ass coach there, you see him? You see that guy? Cody Baugh?
Cody Baugh.
The big Baugh man.
Oh, yeah. And we're looking here, this AA team. You guys beat British Columbia. So it might have been the last time we had a team from BC at the tournament. 4-3 in overtime in the final. And I'm going to really test your memory. Can you remember who scored the overtime goal on that team for you guys?
No clue. I don't remember last summer, let alone that long ago.
So Mitchell Palafox.
Yeah. Okay. There it is. You
Scored
know
the
I
18.
don't.
And that same year, so we were just talking with Kraft about that PA 95 team, how great they were, and how it became where people just wanted to beat them. And you had a really good California team that year. Now, I remember being real excited that you agreed to coach them. And Troy Loggins was on that team. Cody Page was on that team.
Yeah, I mean, it was Joe Fox really who was his son Tanner was a big supporter of the California teams and a big supporter of State Wars, and he came to me and was like, hey, let's get everybody we can to go against, because I think I hadn't coached up until that point. I think that California had been, everybody wanted a piece of PA at that point, especially Mr. Kraft. Yeah, so I think he put together he got all the kids to go to tryouts and make sure that they were there for the tryouts and everything else. So it was, there were a couple of groups, three teams that were kind of comprised of, that team was comprised of. Yeah, I mean, there were guys, Loggy, Page, Tanner Fox, a couple of other really good players as well. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, we were just saying to Kraft how their team wound up causing the ripple effect of teams like this, where people were pushing kids to tryouts to want to beat them. I remember Fox doing that. Shane McMahon was on this team, who's
yeah, that's right.
Player. He might have been a year younger, but
Yeah, I think he's a 96, right?
Yeah, he's a 96.
And even Bailey Simpson, I didn't realize he was even on that team. We just saw him at Winter Wars this year in California. I didn't realize that he was even on that team.
Yep.
But yeah, you guys won 4-0 with the number 1 seed, actually ahead of Pennsylvania leading to the playoffs, and you lost a close one, I believe, to Missouri in the first round of the playoffs.
Whatever you say. Again, don't remember. I block out anything that has to do with losses. So
okay.
I don't recall those.
So, Joe, you obviously have a vast history in the sport. You've done pretty much everything in the game. You started in the beginning when it was the new thing. You played in the RHI. You were in the Mecca in California during that period. You worked with Mission Hockey when they were at the big thing in the sport that everyone wanted to get at the Mission booth and be part of that program. And then you've gone through it now. You've been with your own company with Alkali Hockey. So you've seen so much come and go. But you were with us with State Wars from day one in 2005 as a sponsor with Mission. So I want you to share with us some memories you might have of the beginning of State Wars, like what you thought in the beginning, and kind of moving forward, how it's evolved and what it's meant to you and the sport in your eyes.
Well, I think I don't know if you remember. Excuse me. I don't know if you remember where we were having breakfast, but I do when you told me about this.
Yeah, the breakfast place.
It was a place called Paul's Pantry in Mission Viejo.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me, we had breakfast, we went over it, and I basically told you at that point in time, like, hey, whatever you're doing, we're in. And I don't know if I was your first sponsor, but I was definitely one of the first guys that kind of jumped on this. So for me, I think that the concept of the tournament obviously being a little bit different than the rest of the tournaments and having state specific things. And I know this summer is a little bit different, obviously, but I think that was the business plan that was different. And, at that point in time, I don't remember what year that was. 100, it feels like 150 years ago, maybe 2000, what, 2005.
Yeah.
I think that what was mostly interesting to us, and it's obviously evolved and changed a bit, but what was most interesting to me and Mission at the time was that the players that were going to the other tournaments were all these sponsored kids, and there's tons of free stuff being given away, and at that time you had the lower level teams that were, to be honest with you, the kids that were buying product and going, and that was our target market. I mean, obviously in marketing, you're trying to, a lot of companies will go top down and, have the premier teams and the guys like Kraft and the 95s and that group of players. But what the mentality was for me, and, it kind of transitions to where we were sitting, I think it was in Chicago, down the road, which is another great memory. But, my mindset was also kind of top down and bottom up. So, and trying to push on the teams, the single A teams, and the single A parents, and trying to create some brand loyalty at that point. So it's a little bit different mentality, but I remember thinking to myself, like, this is the business plan that's going to work, because at the end of the day, you're not relying on a one guy to bring his team. You're relying on your staff to go out and do something different, and with tryouts and selling your program. So I think that and it doesn't take away from any of the other events that are happening or tournaments that are happening and their business plan. But I think yours was different, and I think it was at the right time, when the sport needed some expansion, and brands in particular needed some options on marketing. So it was a great time.
Now moving forward, obviously, to the Palma Pro division within State Wars, you coach one of the top teams in the country, the Alkali. Now Rebel is a new team. It was the RPD in the past, but the change with the brand of what's coming out with the skates. So now, what have you seen in that division? I mean, obviously, you have the ear of the pro players about wanting to be there, and the division, and how tough it is. And we were just talking about with Jay Muro how tough the round robin is in that division, and how hard it is to win that tournament. And you guys have yet to win it as the Alkali team, and you're probably a favorite every year. So what's your thoughts just with the pro division side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would echo probably, what obviously everybody is, Crafty and Jason have said. I mean, it's a tough round robin. The games are a bit longer, so there's a little bit more depth needed. And again, I mean, with it being the last tournament of the year, some guys, some guys are tired. In our case, I mean, we've had a great team, a great group of people that are into it and giving as much as they can. But I mean, it's tough to get through. I mean, and especially now too with up and coming teams like the Roadrunners and. That used to be a team, and that this is more a complement, to that group of people, and VO, like that team used to be a team that you were kind of like, all right, well, we got the Roadrunners. I mean, we can maybe take a game off and still get a win. That's absolutely not the case anymore. I mean, you've just got teams that are getting better and better and better. And obviously, and I mean, I think that, it goes without saying, but like, I mean, even teams like the Snipers and Palma and Black Ice and the Border Cats and, their guys aren't playing as much anymore. A lot, my team, the guys that are standing behind me, I got when they were 18, 19 years old. And I mean, Korn was freaking, I think he was 6 when he started playing on our pro team. So those guys all went through playing 3 nights a week and playing college roller hockey or playing college ice hockey or whatever it may be, and they were skating 4 or 5 times a week. And now that group behind me, I mean, one of them's married with a kid, and the other 2 have jobs, and I mean they 2 of them have children, and I mean it's just a different time frame. I mean, and I know. We've talked about this before with the Sniper group. I mean, guys have lives now. They're not playing 5 nights a week, and they've got kids or they've got jobs, and they got to get up in the morning. And so these younger teams like the Roadrunners, you know, they're now where my team in particular was, you know, whatever, you know, 10 years ago. I mean, it's just a different time. So I don't think guys are playing as much on a regular basis as they were, at least my team. You know, obviously I have some guys that are still playing in the East Coast League in the AHL and, you know, overseas, but, you know, the bulk of our guys are, you know, they have lives, they're men, you know, they've got responsibilities. And it's great to see, you know, guys like Vio, you know, and I have a ton of respect for what he's done with that group and held them together and held on to some really good players. You know, Joey's just, you know, Joey's outstanding. I mean, I think he's the best young player in the world. You know, so he's been able to keep Joey engaged on that team and that group. And, you know, there's 4 or 5 other guys, or 6 or 7 that have been with that group for a long time. And I'm really proud of what he's done. I mean, he's turned what was a team that, you know, wasn't a tough out, so to speak, into a team that, you know, can absolutely beat anyone in the division at any given day. So, you know, that's what I like about what's happened at the pro level is some of these younger guys that were, you know, peewees and probably squirts when they started playing in your tournament, or even mites, or, you know, have come up and are now playing pro and are dominant in pro.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's like this. You have that window where if we're gonna win this thing, we got to win in this window where we have a couple older guys, but we have guys that are still playing a lot. And once you kind of get past that, you wonder, you know, can we get lucky and win this thing? Because we're not, when guys are playing 7 days a week and I'm playing just in the summertime, it's hard to compete with that. And I know Greg, as an older player and someone who's still playing very well, but doesn't play nearly as much, he'll attest to when he was at Lindenwood, how much better he felt just because he was on his skates every day. Right, Greg?
Yeah, I mean, the practices in itself were great practices, and guys are going at it and fighting and going hard. And, you know, now I'm lucky if I could skate once a week. So
yeah, and the reality is I mean, guys like Greg and, you know, some older guys that not old Greg, you get the gist, but some older guys that have been playing in this for a long time. I mean, they absolutely changed their game. I mean, and you have to. I mean, you have to adapt. I mean, I look at a guy like Kyle Kramer, if I'm being honest with you. Like, Kyle Kramer is still an incredibly serviceable pro, because Kyle is, you know, Kyle's the guy on your team that I admire a tremendous amount, because, you know, I see him at one tournament, he's playing forward. I see him at the next tournament, he's playing freaking D. You know, he's a guy that's like, you know, he's a do anything for the team kind of guy. And
he'd play goalie if you asked him to.
Yeah, I mean, is he the guy that, you know, that is as good as he was 10 years ago? No, none of us are. I mean, nobody's better when they're 32 than they were when they were 23. But the game changes, and the guys that can still play in their 30s are guys that can adapt. You know, obviously stay in shape, but guys that can adapt to changing their role within a team. And I think Kyle's a great example of a guy who's done that.
I think a big example of that will be one of our guests on Thursday is CJ Yoder. You know, at
that's just
45 years old, he's still playing in the division, right?
He's 83. Don't let him kid you. He's 83 years old and still playing pro. Yeah, that goes without saying. I mean, that I don't even, like, we can go down that road of CJ Yoder I can talk about him for 7 days, but you know, I think guys like him, guys like Greg, and I throw Kyle Kramer in that. You know, Kyle Kramer's a guy that I would take on my team any day of the week if he was 45 years old. He's just that kind of player. And you've been fortunate to have him with you for a long time. So,
yeah.
Greg's going to change the picture here for us, Joe. So I want to get your first reaction or thoughts if you remember this picture.
No, I only looked. That's in Cincinnati.
Correct. You can see the playground behind you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't. That was 2011 or 12.
11.
2011.
So what year did you start Alkali?
February 4th, 2011.
Okay, so this was the year.
For sure.
And that's why I think looking at this, it's such a happy picture to me when I look at it, that smile, because I think this was the big launch year for you, you know, for Alkali. And I remember how proud and excited you were for having that. And I remember being so excited for you. You know, I saw this picture and I'm like, this just says it all to me about just what I remember of you in the sport is you've always been an innovator, you know, with mission, and then here when you started your own brand with Alkali and seeing those new skates you have out now with the Rebel line just look incredible. I know we raffled one off the other night. People were talking about them like crazy. So talk a little bit about Alkali, not necessarily the history of it, but just the new line. Let's talk about the Rebel line.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a quick history, but, so I started with a guy in China with a factory. He ended up kind of closing his factory. And at that same time, I actually sold the brand to Wholesale Sports Inc. and went with it, to be a part of this company that I'm at now. So in that time frame, the factory that we were originally building skates at kind of closed and went away, and that went on for probably 4 years. And about a year and a half ago, a little over a year and a half ago, I found out that company, that factory, which had been sitting somewhat empty, had sold to another company. So I was on a plane 10 days later trying to find my old skate line, and my old last and my old toe box and all the different things. So, building skates is not easy. It takes a lot of time. And, I unfortunately, I had a great partner at Alkali in the beginning with Justin Hoffman, who is by far, he's the innovator, not me. He was the guy that came up with, for 17 years we worked together, and, I got to be the front man and he was the guy doing all the work for the most part. So I was very fortunate to have him. But when I sold Alkali, Justin went on to another company. So it was kind of on my shoulders to build a skate line. And I had obviously done a ton of development through the process of 17 years, but I didn't really have the design. I don't have a design mindset. I look at something, it looks good. Like I can tell you what I don't like about something once it's done, but I can't really come up with the concepts myself. That's not my strength. So I ended up building the skate line, the secondary skate line, the Visium kind of Recon Quantum line. And then about 2 years ago, I ended up going over to the factory and walked in and, found my last again, and brought in some designers that would help me design it. So, it's back to the kind of the original fit, back to where we were in the beginning. And, that kind of comfort fit, little mid-volume skate with a forward rake. We've gone to a Rise chassis this year, which is an 80, 80, 76, 76. We had all 80s up until now. So we're excited. I mean, sales are going incredibly well over the course of we launched them in February. So we've already surpassed our sales from last year in skates.
Wow.
With our new line. So it's gone well so far. Knock on wood.
No, that's awesome news. Definitely skate definitely looks sharp. Now, Joe, you guys are doing goalie skates as well, correct?
Yeah, I launched 2 goalie skates. I mean, there are a couple of other brands out there that carry goalie skates. I'd never done one before. So we decided to, we wanted to do something, obviously. And I mean, especially being core to roller hockey, offering that goalie skate. And to be honest with you, I didn't have a factory who could do it prior. And, the cowlings that everybody was using back in the day, before we all kind of went to a hard shell boot, cowlings were too expensive. You just couldn't do them. They were $13,000 to $15,000 per size. You need 17. So it's crazy money investment wise. And the number of goaltenders in the game, didn't really justify the investment. So when we went to when we ended up with a hard shell boot, kind of cutting the tendon guard off and throwing the padding around the isthmus, is way easier. I mean, I made a ton of mistakes. I mean, I was at State Wars with you guys where I launched the product over the summer in Fort Wayne, and I had a bunch of goalies come up, and then some pictures were taken, put on the internet, blah blah blah, and I just ended up getting shredded by goaltenders because I missed a bunch of shit that they need. So Tommy Nostramo, I told this story earlier. Tommy Nostramo was a guy that kind of came over and was actually super cool and super nice about it. Sat me down and was like, "Hey, dude, you need to have this. You need to have that." And you guys know Tommy is the kindest man on the planet.
Yep.
So where other goalies were calling me an idiot and a dumbass and I don't know what I'm doing, Tommy was the guy that.
Shout out.
Yeah. Tommy was the guy that kind of sat me down along with Zach Lane, and we're like, hey, guy, you need to have this and you need to have that. And I was like, okay.
Two great guys.
I mean, while I was sitting at your tournament, I was sending changes to the factory for production. So it was pretty cool, actually.
That is cool.
Pretty fun.
And they had a hand in it too, so that's pretty cool.
We got another
Yeah.
picture for you here, Joe.
Ah, nice. There you go. There you go. In black. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, that was obviously that was the last double IHF tournament. So I had a good run at it. It was Timmy, you and I've talked about this, and I owe a lot to Dan Brennan for allowing me to do that for so long. He was there in 90.
Joe, how many years have you coached?
I coached it in 99 and 2000, and then I believe it was 2012 to 17. So I took a hiatus, and when I started Alkali, Dan called me and was like, "Hey, I in 99 and 2000, I had come off playing in 96, 97, 98. I was only 29 years old when Mark Rudolph, who was the head of USA Hockey Inline at the time, asked me to coach, and I kind of looked at my wife and was like, do I really want to do this? I'm still playing. And she's like, and I just said to her, I said, but I don't know if I'll ever have the chance to coach again. And that was back in the time when, there were, professional ice hockey coaches coaching that team. I mean, Roy Sommer, who's the, coaching the Kentucky Thoroughbreds in the AHL, and Mark Kumpel, who was the assistant coach and it was a head coach in the East Coast League. So, just a dumb roller hockey player.
Joe, not to cut you off, but I mentioned the other night on Roller Dad that a lot of people didn't know this, but John Cooper, the head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, was the assistant coach on the IHF inline hockey team one of those years in between when you were the head coach.
Yeah, there were some guys. So I mean, I made the choice to start coaching, and I mean, it's truly my passion. I mean, if you ask me to play or coach, even when I was in shape and able to to skate a little bit, I would have told you I would prefer to coach. I mean, it's just my passion. I love working with, young men and trying to help mold and teach the game. So it's my passion. It's what I enjoy. So I mean, this was an interesting thing because, you and I had talked about this. We were in Fort Wayne. I don't remember it might have been 16. I think it was 16. And, Dan was there. I think Dan Brennan was there, and Dan and I were talking about, an assistant coach after the 2016. I don't know if it was 15 or 16, but I'm like, let's get Timmy in. So, I mean, not only to have a friend of mine that I've known for 150 years, be on the bench with me and guide some pretty important things about the team, including the penalty kill. It was cool to win, and it was cool to win with a good friend, and kind of go out on top. So, it's, no differently than you and Greg coaching the Fierce team or the U-Stars team. It's nice to have somebody, the year before that I had Pat Lee with me, which was unbelievable. I mean, Pat's a great friend, and, it's nice to have people around you that you trust and that you enjoy winning with.
Yeah, it was obviously special for me, and I know I've done this before, but I want to again, thank you for asking me and believing in me to be part of that, because you gave me that opportunity to do that, and I may never have gotten that opportunity again. And now I'm the head coach of the team through Fears and the World Skate with USARS, USA Roller Sports, that I don't know if I would have gotten to that point because as we've talked about, and Jay and I talked about earlier, Muro, it's different, and to be able to get in there and learn from the best and be on the bench and in practices and the camp and see how you handle yourself on a day-to-day aspect out there. Because, what people don't get, I don't think, Joe, and we've talked about this, but for everyone watching, when you go to a tournament, Narch Stores, State Wars, I don't care which one it is, there's only so much of coaching that really goes into pro, right? Because the guys are all out on their own or whatever. They come in, halftime they get, an hour before the game if you're lucky. You get in the locker room, you talk for a minute, you go out and you play. And then you got another game later on, and there's not really a lot of time there. Where at this tournament, you have this is there. Joe and I were watching other day, putting game plans together for the game. There's breaks between halves to go back to the locker room.
Truly all we can do. I mean, during, to your point, during Palma Pro, I look at it.
Sorry, Greg, you get rid of that picture so we can all be together.
one of the things on Palma Pro for me in the tournaments is really I'm trying to do the best I can to motivate and make simple changes to certain things that are happening in the game, whether it be, hey, Matt White's tearing up so and so, like I need to put out Novak, to chase him around for three periods or whatever it may be. Offensive zone face-offs, making sure the line changes, making sure guys are fresh. So there's, but you're not, to your point, you're not doing a significant amount of like, hey, you're going to go here and you're going to go there and you're going to go around here. And it doesn't, that's not what's happening. And in particular with guys that have played for you forever, they know they know your system. They know what your expectation is. You may change a forecheck. You may, go to a box. You may, rotate to an umbrella or a box, on the power play. But you don't have the time to work on things in a practice with the IIHF and international play and fears. You do have that time. You have them before. You can set mentalities. You can work on certain things, whether it be penalty kill or power play or, a 1-1-2 forecheck or how we're going to adapt to this or that. In fears, I'm sure adapting to the smaller rinks is a big deal, and verbalizing taking up space and creating, moving the puck quickly and supporting the puck. And so there's a lot more quote unquote coaching.
That's my favorite part. My favorite part in Chicago after camp when the team was picked. We had a camp, those don't know, for 3 days. And then the team was picked and the guys left and the guys stayed and we practiced another 3 days with the team before we went overseas to Slovakia. And I think one of my favorite parts of that when I handled the D and the penalty kill and Joe handled the power play, and we would break up into groups and run drills with just the power play and the penalty, just to be able to go over that stuff and get that coaching out of it, which again, you don't get to do much. And for me, I haven't done that a lot lately. And now that I'm coaching kids again a little bit on the ice, it's fun to be able to coach a little bit, but that was an awesome part of it for me. But
that to me, that's the most fun. I mean, the most fun is, being out in practice. And then, the games, there's only so much a coach can do from behind the bench. Like I said, you can try to make the correct line changes. You can make minor adjustments. You can motivate guys. You can walk down the bench, and some guys you have to hug, and some guys like Cody Kettler, you have to scream like you're going to punch him in the face. And, and he goes out and tries really hard.
But
and I'm very fortunate with my group is, I just, even now at this point, I really I have to look at a guy and he knows what I'm going to say. Cody Kettler can probably, honestly, he could probably tell you everything that's going to come out of my mouth at any point during the game. I'm sure Greg can do the same with Timmy. So and Crafty with Jason. You just got guys that have played for you forever, and they know what you're going to say. It's trying to, believe it or not, it's trying to change that up a little bit, Timmy, right? As a coach, like maybe try not to use the same approach with the same guy every time.
Right.
And see what's going to make him tick and what's going to make him go out and work his ass off for that shift when you need him most.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm going to mention 2 memories I have from Bratislava, or from that whole experience. I want to see if you remember either one of these and what you thought. That always stand up in my mind. And I love talking about this stuff because these are memories I don't want to forget. I always feel like talking about them keeps them fresh in your mind. That's why Greg and us, we talk about old sniper stories from 20 years ago. I feel like all the time in the office. But the one thing that stands out, I remember going to Benihana with the team.
Yeah.
So to me, that was always so funny. Here we are in Bratislava, Slovakia, and we take a team dinner and we wind up in a Benihana. So that's always been a real funny story to me to think about. And the other thing, and this, you brought up Dan Brennan. For those who don't know Dan Brennan, I just want to mention him. Dan Brennan works for USA Hockey. He handles a lot with the sled hockey team, but he was also the manager, and he got everything done for the inline side, and was basically everything that Joe and I needed. He handled. Unbelievable guy.
The best.
Knows him even longer than I do. I know Greg, when he played for the team, knew him. Right, Greg? The best?
Not a better guy than Dan Brennan.
But I remember being in Chicago when we were picking the team. And what people don't realize is Joe and I, we spent more hours talking to each other probably than our wives leading up to this camp, just about players we wanted to be at camp. And then at the camp, we were actually upstairs, almost at a fist fight at one point, arguing about players a little bit because I'm A-type, Joe's A-type. And, you know, we were definitely going back and forth. And, you know, we had a couple tough cuts. And I remember being back in the hotel that night, and we were going to announce the team the next day. And it was Joe, myself, Dan, and Justin Hoffman. And I won't mention the player, but there was a player we knew we were going to have to cut, unfortunately. And Dan, at one point, just punched the desk he was at. And he threw his beer down. He started screaming F-bombs, and he was so mad that we had to cut this player. And he knew we had to, but he was like, just so passionate about it. Like, he's like, this kid's going to be a captain one day on this, you know. He was like, you know, he was so mad. And I remember looking at him going, this is great to see. He's not even the guy coaching the team, and he's so passionate about it. It just got me more pumped up before we went out there.
Yeah, I mean, Dan's the right kind of person, man. That's the bottom line. He's the right kind of person, and you know, he loves the game. You know, he loves USA hockey. You know, I mean, he's very proud of that jersey, and you know, his sled team. He tells me stories constantly about his sled team, and they're
pretty
just,
funny stuff.
You know, bunch of characters for sure. But you know, I talked to him not too long ago, and he's still upset that the Double I Check isn't doing the tournament. You know, because he just you know, he's like, look, that group of guys, and it goes to, you know, I think it has a lot to do with the you know, the humbleness of the group of people that were always kind of on that team. I know your team, you know, at the Fierce tournament was just the same way. I mean, they're just good people. I mean, and everybody that got invited to a camp or that you spoke to about playing on you and Greg's team, you know, they're just good people. You know, there aren't very many bad people in this game, and that's one of the things that's kept me in it for so long. Is, you know, I mean, there's just and I've made lifelong friends that I still talk to, you know, on a daily basis. I mean, Nielsen Archibald, who played for me now for 2 years, is a guy that I've known since he was 10 years old. You know, so I mean, it's just, you know, it's. And I call him in the morning on my way to work, like, hey, buddy, how you hanging in? What's going on? How you been? You know, how are the kids? How's the new job? You know, so, you know, I see his dad, he comes into our building because we're in San Diego. His dad comes into the building, and, you know, his dad and I just, you know, shoot the shit for 30 minutes about Nielsen, you know. So, you know, there are lifelong friends that I would chop up a body and bury it in the desert for, that, you know, that I've met in this game and have played for me or even played for other people. I mean, like Tyler Kraft's a perfect example. Like, I absolutely love that kid.
Yeah.
I love everything about him. I love his character. I love, you know, the type of player he is. But honestly, most important, Tyler's just a nice person. I mean, he's just a good kid.
100%.
You know, I mean, regardless of how many points he puts up in the tournament, he beats us on a power play, and I want to punch him. But you know, I mean, he's just a good kid. He's just a good kid. That's the bottom line. I mean, and most in this sport that have grown up playing this game are good kids, and they're good people, you know. I mean, and you have run-ins with guys, obviously, coaches, players, referees, you know, tournament directors, whatever it may be. You know, I mean, you know, Dexter, like, I mean, Jesus.
It's a small circle,
I mean,
in the grand scheme of things, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got guys like Dexter running around just, you know, not knowing what the hell he's doing all the time.
Who knows what he's doing?
Shout out to Dexter, best penmanship in the game.
Yep.
So Joe,
Best
I'm going
TV.
to ask you a handful of questions here, a little speed round here, if you would, and I want you to just throw out the first thing that comes to mind, okay? And the first one here, I know the answer, but I'm going to throw it out because I did everyone else. Beer or wine?
Heineken.
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Wait. It's specific. It's
Heineken.
specific.
Okay.
Yeah, Heineken. It's not just beer.
Not
'Cause I don't
Heineken Light.
like all beers.
I know he's got a Heineken bar stool behind him in his office. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars. I watched the last two on Sunday because I hadn't seen them, so I binge watched the last two of them actually.
Okay. Beatles or Led Zeppelin?
Zeppelin.
Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm?
Seinfeld. Just started Curb Your Enthusiasm actually. I'm really excited about it because
Good.
I've never seen it. And there's
Oh,
like
you've never seen any of it?
132.
Okay.
Yeah, I've not seen a thing. I saw
Oh.
the first one,
Good
so I'm
news.
pretty excited about it.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee,
Steak or chicken?
steak. Come on.
Winter or summer?
It depends on where. I would say winter in California, or I'm sorry, summer in California, but winter in Detroit.
Okay, my next question would be Michigan or California?
Michigan. Come on, forget it. St. Louis, actually. Missouri. Just send me to Missouri.
Golf or tennis?
Golf.
Favorite food?
Steak.
Favorite band and album?
Joe loves his 80s.
Probably Bad Company, and the album with the same name.
Okay. Now you can't pick one of the obvious, like The Godfather or Star Wars or Shawshank. What's your favorite movie? You're on a deserted island. You can bring one movie with you. You got to watch. What movie is that for you?
Dumb and Dumber. Come on, forget it. I mean,
There you go. Me and Greg. Okay, here's one that really put you on the spot. And we'll preface this by saying none of his players is allowed to get upset at his answer here. All time, anyone you've ever coached, $1 million game in their prime, you could put a goalie, 2D, 2 forward on the floor. Who do you want it to be?
the guys behind me with JP Lamoya playing goalie.
Mhm.
I'll go to war with those 5 guys any day of the week. And there's, I mean, those are my original 5 guys. Kyle Novak and Jay Russell brought this group to me in 2012.
From State Wars.
Young Guns.
From Missouri.
Yeah, that's right. And
Travis McKee was on it for a minute.
That's right. I'll die with those 5 guys behind me. No question about it. And that doesn't mean that Spees and
Great
AK
answer.
and Loggy and I mean,
I like
Zach
that.
Lane and Jerry Kuhn, and there's tons of guys but the 5 guys behind me, I'll go to my grave with.
So $1 million shot to win it all. Penalty shot. Who do you want the puck on? Who's stick from your organization that you ever coached taking that penalty shot for $1 million for the win?
Is it from my organization?
Yep. Anyone you ever coached?
I would probably say Alex Kyle.
Okay. Now I'm going to name some categories here. When you hear this word, who do you think of as a player? It could be any player you've ever coached, USA, even you've watched, doesn't matter. Clutch.
John Chavo.
Pure goal scorer.
Travis No.
Ziggy's going to be pissed at you for that one. Smartest player.
Cody Kettler.
Best vision.
Best what?
Vision on the ice or the floor.
Kyle Novak.
When you watch him make some moves, you go, wow, that kid's got filthy hands. Who would that be?
I mean, there's so many. It's best hands. Wow. I mean, AK comes to mind, but I already named him, so they're stupid. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I would say maybe Jack, because he's a big, huge guy and he's just got silky mitts. I'd say Jack Combs.
Now, if there's one player in all of roller hockey that you could say, I'd buy a ticket to want to watch that guy play, I just marvel at watching him, who would that player be?
Matt White. No, hands down, Matt White.
Best
Most
locker.
dynamic player, most dynamic by far. I mean, not the guy, but Matty, his speed, his vision he's the full package, man. He's the full package.
Back in the day, that was always Mike Sanfrani to me. I always said that he was the guy, and I always think of him because he called me the other day, that when he was a young kid, I would say, I'd buy a ticket, just sit there and watch him play.
Yeah, and see, here's the difference between you and I. I would rather watch Rob Shear beat the snot out of somebody than watch Franny dance around the rink.
Yep.
But it always says funny because you mentioned Rob Shear, both their dads came to everything. And if you asked Rob Shear's dad who's the best player, he'd say Mike Sanfrani. If you asked Sanfrani's dad, he'd say Rob Shear.
Yeah.
And last question for that, best locker room guy.
This is an old school one. This is a really old school one. And he's still a great locker room guy, and he doesn't even play anymore. But I would go with Chuck Thuss. You guys may or may not know him.
I know Chuck.
I played for him.
I played for Chuck
he
a couple years.
He played 100 years ago with us at Narch in Florida, and he's one of my best friends of all time. And I played with him in college. He was a coach of the Fierce team with Kenny Murchison. And I think that he's just a dynamic guy that gets everybody and can motivate. And he's just, Chuck Thus.
Awesome.
He's 172 years old, but he's my pick for a locker room guy.
Yeah, Chuck was head coach for a little while. We won in
Yeah.
Czech Republic one year. We had a good time. It's awesome.
Yep. Hockey Tuss.
Yep.
Now, one thing that some people may not know, GT, about Joe is, he came from an ice hockey background. I'm looking here, he played at Miami University. Just played 3 years there, Joe? Miami, 3? So Joe played 3 years at Miami. And in those 3 years that he played at Miami, Ohio, ice hockey, Division I hockey, his last 2 years, he scored over 40 points both years as a defenseman. So he scored 80 points in his last 2 seasons as a D-man. Which
that and $2.75 will get me a Starbucks coffee.
But it's impressive, Joe.
Impressive.
And the reason I bring it up is I wanted to ask you, to all the ice hockey players out there, and there might be a lot of them watching this, but just in general, like, what do you think about the roller game that just helps a player as a well-rounded player? I mean, what's your message to some of those ice guys that haven't done it?
Well, I think that especially for kids, and it even goes for the same for adults, is, the 4-on-4 game of, taking away space and gapping guys defensively and having to be on the correct side of the puck at all times. I mean, that's something that ice hockey coaches pound into their players, like be on the defensive side. And I think that is exacerbated in roller because you're most of the time playing man on man. And if you do get caught out of position, it's really, really difficult to recover. You can't stop on a dime and take off the other way. So I think, from a defensive perspective, I think that roller hockey truly helps ice hockey players be on the correct side and learn more about being on the defensive side of a guy. Offensively, obviously, with it being 4-on-4 and no offsides, there's a lot more space. There's a lot more one-on-one activity. Being able to utilize your skill set one-on-one, which obviously transitions now into small games in ice hockey. I mean, if you watch an ice hockey practice nowadays, there's a ton of small games happening in small spaces because, the game is played in such a small corridor of the ice rink now, with the offensive zone. So that is just natural in roller, where you've got to play one-on-one with a guy and you've got to, watch the chest and offensively you've got to beat a guy and create space for yourself and go, support the puck. So all of those things are making ice hockey players better players by playing and advocating and doing the things in roller. So I don't think it's, back in the day, it used to be like, oh, you can't play roller, ice hockey coaches. And I think that's somewhat changed because of the success of so many guys that are playing ice hockey now that grew up playing roller and have special skills. It's just ice hockey is a much more kind of controlled, dump it in, but you see things happening now controlling the puck. Guys don't have something, they bring it back. I mean, all of those things are a lot of these good things that are happening in ice hockey happen in our game every day.
Right.
So, I think that's, I would advocate for any ice hockey player to play roller for those specific reasons.
Yeah, it's funny. I always say to people that the shame of it is I'm a firm believer in that. I think most ice hockey people that don't promote roller, it's twofold. It's either A, they just don't have any idea about what we're doing, the game at the level we're at. And then the other part is just unfortunately the business part of it. They don't want the kids to leave the ice rink. They just want them to spend the money there all day long and not leave to go do something that they don't benefit from. And that's the shame of it. I remember bringing up Dan Brennan one last time. We were at State Wars in Michigan, I think, the one year. And we were talking about ice hockey and roller. He's obviously a big proponent of roller. And we were talking about how you go up to a lot of kids and they say what they love about roller is it's fun, where ice is more of a chore. And I find that to be so sad because ice should be fun too. Like I play a lot of ice also now and I love it just like I like going by roller. It should be fun. Some of these kids feel so much pressure.
Yeah, that's the key word to me.
So much money and that turns into pressure, right, Joe? Yeah. So now with roller, they go and it's more just, all right, I can just have fun and play hockey and try moves and try things. And
well, I can tell you, Timmy, I tell you personally, I was playing in the East Coast League and I had a
half a cup of coffee in the AHL. You know, I played college ice hockey. I went to the East Coast League, played a little over a year and a half, or around a year and a half. Got called up to the AHL, had 2 sips of coffee, and you know, then went back home. But in that same time period, I started playing in the RHI, and that was 93, 94. And I can tell you that I was playing in the RHI, and I quit playing ice hockey because I was having so much more fun playing the game of roller. And, you know, I was playing pro ice hockey. Now, granted, I was making $291 a week, and, you know, I couldn't rub 2 nickels together. My wife and I were eating, you know, top ramen and rice and cheese.
Right.
But, you know, it was just way more fun. It was there because here's the biggest thing is when I was in the East Coast League, when I was in college, when you're playing junior, when you're playing midgets, you're always trying to jump to the next level. You're always trying, there's always pressure to be better, to get to the NHL, or to get to from the East Coast League to the AHL, or when you're in college playing pro ice hockey. In roller in the RHI, there was nothing above it. You know, you were at the pinnacle. So there was literally no pressure to try to, oh geez, if I don't play well this game, I'm not going to, you know, it was just go play and enjoy yourself and have fun. And I think that, you know, you see a lot of guys. I mean, you know, you've got guys like a perfect example is a kid like Kyle Novak that, you know, was playing pro ice hockey, and he's just like, I'm over it. Like, I'm not making enough money. Like, you know, this is no fun anymore. So he left playing ice hockey, and now he's playing in Europe and, you know, playing roller hockey. So I think that, you know, it is true. I mean, and it's unfortunate because, you know, ice hockey when you're a kid is a lot of fun, but there's just a lot of pressure nowadays. I mean, it's not just ice hockey, it's baseball, it's soccer, it's lacrosse. It's just the nature of
they're starting, Joe, they're starting younger now than when we were younger, and starting like serious 7 days a week. You know, you got to pick a sport by the time you get out.
Yeah, and we sound like a couple of really old guys talking about like this, but I mean, you know, but it's true. I mean, it's, you know, my kids play sports growing up. I mean, it was.
And your kids are older, you know, you started having kids when you were 12. Yep. I mean, my kids are much younger, and I see it now with, you know, my little one, you know, my 7-year-old, you know, it's parents are already like talking about, oh, how do you do more than one sport? Like, and I'm like, she's 7, you know, like.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, and when I was growing up, it was baseball. It was, you know, I even tried football for one practice until I got laid out of my ass, and it was too sweaty and it was hot outside.
All right, well, Joe, you know, we really appreciate you being part of this first podcast. You know, when we finally decided to do this SWH podcast, it's going to be a bi-weekly thing every Tuesday and Thursday. You were an obvious choice to be on our first episode here. You know, we're excited that, you know, this Thursday we're going to have CJ Yoder on, Dennis Jelsic from the Grizzlies, who I know you know real well, Joe, so he'll be entertaining. And Rob Chernomid from the Beta and the Palmer Golden Knights. So, but really thankful you could come on here today. But I know you're busy. You're one of the guys working. We said earlier, again, I want to say it again, you know, big thanks out to everyone who's working, you know, the firemen, the police, the hospitals, the doctors, the grocery store people, anyone essential that's working right now, putting their life on the line for us. You know, as we're doing this, what was great about this 2 hours of podcast just now, I totally forgot about the quarantine during this. So that's what we need more of, you know, our attention off, just staying at home, you know, doing what we're supposed to be doing to get this thing over with. But, you know, glass half full Productions, Joe, we said we want to look at every glass as half full, not half empty, and trying to be positive through this, and hoping to see everyone real soon on a rink this summer.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate it. Thank you for what you do.
Thanks for the insight.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for being with us.
All right. See you, boys.
All right. Take care.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is PJ Kavaya, the voice of State Wars Hockey, and you are watching the SWH podcast brought to you by Glass Half Full Productions. Thank you to all of our amazing sponsors: Mission Valor, Tour, Alkali, Labeta, Rink, Comics, Warrior, Monkey Sports, Jordan Watches, Car Shield, Rocket, Wraparound, and Top Shelf Targets. We look forward to seeing you all on the rinks.
Well, that was PJ Kavaya closing us out there from Paris, France. We'll have our buddy PJ, the voice of State Wars, on one day with us here.
Oh yeah, he'd love it.
This has been great. GT, like we said, we talked about doing this for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I want to do a little shout out to our little group. We talk about podcasts all the time. We got Lynchy, Dukes, and RM, part of our little group. We've been talking about a podcast. Finally got it happening here. I think it went great. We want to thank Jason Muro, Tyler Kraft, Joe Cook for being part of it. I don't even know who's been watching live, but those that are, thank you. I'm sure there'll be a lot of comments there, and this will be saved on there so people can go back and watch. We know it's a long podcast, but what the hell else do you got to do right now unless you're one of those essentials that we talked about?
Yep.
But we'll be right back at it Thursday. We're going to go a little earlier. Today we start a little bit later. We had some stuff going on, but we're going to go 1 o'clock start on Thursday. And like I said, we're going to have CJ Yoder from the Tour Mudcats, one of the best in the business. Dennis Jelsic from New Jersey, the Iska Grizzlies program, and Rob Chernamid, a good friend of ours from California, who I've known forever from the Beta Hockey and the Beta Palma Golden Knights pro team. GT, any closing thoughts from you?
No, good job, Tim. I think it was the first podcast was pretty good. I mean, we're only going to get better with this, and looking forward to doing this weekly, right?
Yeah, twice a week we'll do it throughout this whole lockdown. I'm hoping we only have to do 4 episodes. It means it's over. But we're going to do it through this lockdown, and then when that's over, we get back to normal life. It'll probably be a once a week thing. It obviously takes a lot of work to do this. But most importantly, everyone out there, we want you guys to stay safe, stay home. I know a lot of people talking about they're going out still and they're partying and doing things. Stay home. Every person staying home is going to help make this thing go away quicker. People are sick, and we pray for everyone out there that's sick. Anyone that's lost someone, we definitely our thoughts are with you guys. We want to get through this. No excuses really to everyone. Like everyone, when this is over, we all say all the time, like, oh, I always wanted to write a book. I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to get in shape. I always wanted to clean my attic out. No excuses right now. Everyone's got a lot of time unless you're one of those people that are working around the clock. But for those of us like us, there's no excuses here. Get stuff done. When you come out of this, I really believe, Greg, that there is a silver lining with this. We're spending more time with our loved ones. We're doing things. There are people in this world that every day are worried about leaving their homes, in normal times. We're pretty lucky here in the United States. So if the worst thing that happens right now to us is we got to stay home with our family, I can think of a lot worse things, right? So
for sure.
Let's clean that attic, clean the basement out, do the yard up, do some push-ups. Everyone should be able to do a few push-ups every day, ride the Peloton bike, go out, skate, do something, exercise.
Seen a lot of skating out there these days, Tim. A lot of those ice hockey people who bash roller hockey, they're out there skating.
Oh, I heard from Jeff Kotcher from Pure Hockey and Dave Reske from Hockey Monkey Sports that inline skates have been going out like crazy on sales. People are skating. I've seen a lot of videos online of NHL players skating with their kids. A lot of those ice kids are buying inline skates just to skate now and get their skating in because they can't obviously ice skate right now. I went skating the other day. I felt like Rocky. People were like fist pumping and skating by the block, and a couple kids were running after me. So that felt pretty good.
It was funny. I was skating the other day, and there was a DJ outside of one of the houses. So I was doing the moonwalk from on my skates, putting on a little show. Amy was dying. So
that's great.
Pretty funny. Yeah.
Greg's girlfriend doesn't realize yet how famous he is in the sport. The mayor, we call him GT.
Yep.
But in all seriousness, everyone stay safe, stay healthy. We're gonna get through this together. Shout out to Kyle Kramer. I know we've been talking a lot about this stuff going on. But we're gonna get through it. I think it's gonna be hopefully coming to an end real soon. We just got to stay home. Don't go out unless you have to. We got to go to the grocery store. You got to go pick up toilet paper or whatever. But there's no reason to go out when you don't need to. Stay at home, stay in the yard, do a little bike ride, go for a run or whatever. But stay safe. We want to see all you guys in Taylor, Michigan this summer at State Wars because we will be there, and it will be another great event from us. So
looking
sign
forward
off
to it.
here. I'm Tim McManus.
Shout out to my mom, Linda. I know she's watching.
Okay. Shout out to LUT. All right. We'll see you guys on Thursday. Hope you enjoyed this.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.